All right, everybody, welcome in. We are live on a Friday night. We've got a lot to get to here on the Rem and Sam pod. Preseason is hot right now in the background. Hey, yo, we've got the Jets. Of course, they were going for a game-winning drive here. Hey, yo, preseason week one, we're starting off hot, chat. Get the Jets game-winning drives. We got guys named Brady leading teams down the field. Hey, yo, Brady Cook. It's 4th and 13 right now, chat. Oh, the pressure. He rolls right. It's out of bounds. It's out of bounds. Oh, the defender had the receiver cut off, and the batted pass almost was gonna help the receiver catch that. The receiver kind of ran out of bounds a little bit, and I guess reestablishing, getting back in bounds, would that have counted? But yeah, it was Scott almost tipping that pause back to the receiver, the defensive back there for Tampa Bay. But hey, it looks like Tampa Bay is going to get the stop. Todd Bowles, Chad, celebrating a preseason week one win for his team. He's excited right now. Hey, yo, shout out. Tampa Bay, I guess, obviously the NFC South, pretty favorable for him there. Good chance that they could be the champions of this one. And I think we've got our guy. I could be wrong. We got to double check the lineup here for Tampa Bay. Could this be former Kansas quarterback Jalen Daniels as quarterback? Is it Jaden? Did they already trade Jaden Daniels? I guess LSU's not, running the team at this point. But 10 for 15 for 111? Yeah, look at that. Just, solid, steady production for our guy. I don't know. Is he going to take the Tyler Huntley role for us? Like the sneaky third quarterback that we always are just like, give him a starting job. Who knows? But and I guess where's our guy Tyler Huntley at for 2026? Is he still? He will I guess be in Baltimore at some point. He always is on Baltimore during the season. Preseason start versus the Eagles. Yeah, he is on the Ravens right now. So yeah, classic Ravens legend Tyler Huntley. Shout out. We're getting a Huntley jersey. I never thought about getting a Huntley jersey, but we'll see. Do we have to sell? Do they sell those, or do you have to customize it? I don't know. But shout out Tyler Huntley for you. We'll do a custom jersey for our guy Tyler Huntley. Hey yo. But call in. But we got the Tampa Bay locking in a win here for preseason week one. I guess, do we go back and double check some of the Geno play as well too? The training camp Geno minutes have not necessarily been, I think, too. He didn't even get on the field tonight. Hey yo, Brady Cook, Cade Klubnik, Bailey Zappi, all getting time to pass. A combined 19 for 30 for 173 and 2 touchdowns. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who they throw out there. Or 2 touchdowns. Hey yo, 2 picks. I guess the 2 picks were Bailey Zappi. So it's not like, they were, it's not like there was some distribution there. It was Baby Zappy kind of bringing down the numbers a little bit. And he definitely a little volatile there on the misses. 6 for 10. So 2 of his misses were just, regular old incompletions. And then 2 of them were picks. Hey, yo. But Cade Klubnik, 5 for 7 for 56. If you can get out there and you can check it down, maybe that could actually work for the Jets. I don't know. Who are the weapons? I guess they have our guy. They have our guy Adonai Mitchell, and they still have Garrett Wilson. Hey, yo. But I don't know, with all the new Ohio State receivers that keep, entering into the league at this point, hey, yo, Garrett Wilson's he's gonna get lost in the shuffle at this point. He's obviously still talented, but there is something to when it doesn't, I guess, really affect the rankings. Maybe we've never had this, especially I'm thinking now as well, too, because again, we've got Jeremiah, and I'm thinking from a Michigan competitive standpoint, we've got Jeremiah Smith right now at Ohio State. And then who's the other freshman that they have? It just seems like every year now at this point, you can just basically lock in that the number one receiver is just going to Ohio State. It is what it is. So it's like, oh, here we go again. It's just like they just keep sending Terminators to Ohio State to go against these Michigan defensive backs. Like, oh, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just like, okay, this is Dad's best receiver. Best receiver in Colts franchise history. I guess we could say that, but. Obviously NFL great, and then let's just bring in a supersized, supercharged receiver athlete like Jeremiah Smith, and then it's like, oh, is this guy more talented than Jeremiah Smith? What's his Chris Henry? Did I say his name already? I'm not sure, but I think that could be the guy. I guess we're make no mistake, we're gonna learn it, chat. It is what it is because he will, he obviously will be making plays. So I'm sure there will be some moments, and not to doubt our team, obviously, but obviously, again, they have been getting the talent there for sure, and even some of the guys that maybe didn't get drafted as well too, like Chat, hey yo, rest in peace. There is a Chris Henry from the 2000s that played for the Bengals. It looked like went to, I guess, West Virginia, '05 draft, 3rd round pick, and it does look like again, rest in peace there, but. Hey, yo, now we have to look up the roster for the Buckeyes. Hey, yo, it is what it is. I hate to get the algorithm all messed up. Oh, Chad, are we gonna run into some technical difficulties here? We'll see what happens. We may hit some internet issues. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Hey, you know what? I guess early in the live stream is better than not. We'll see if we lose connection. We're still doing good right now. Hey, yo, so we're just gonna monitor it real quick, just in case, because sometimes if it drops, the live stream can get touchy. So we do obviously want to make sure that we are still connected. But I guess it's going. The minute, see, I mean, it's appropriate. The minute we start looking up the rival roster, the internet cuts out. Honestly, we probably have like a parental guide set at this point, where it's like, hey, yo, if anybody Google searches the Ohio State roster, immediately the internet just has to shut down. So, yeah, I guess, we'll have to wait just a second. I guess the live stream is still going at this point. So, it's fortunate there. We'll see how long it lasts and if the internet reboots at this point, but we're just sitting on pause right now. We're talking about there. Okay, we finally disconnected, but we're back. Okay, I think did we survive? I think we kind of survived that. Hey, yeah, okay. We might be good to go. Let me just look one check here real quick, just in case. Again, it's early on, so we'll just make sure that everything is still up and running appropriately here. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, I think we're good. I guess we will have to restart the preseason game. Hey, yo. So are we gonna throw on another maybe old one as well too? We have had some other games over the last couple of days. Mendoza getting to play a little bit. There was maybe some Drew Aller performance that we have to go check out as well too. So some other things that we'll have to keep an eye on here again from an NBA standpoint. But I guess like we were saying, I guess we were like we were saying, and we were also saying we were looking up who this other receiver was. That I guess we don't have. I just thought we don't have to actually look up the roster. We can just look up the recruiting rankings. Oh, chat. I wish I would have thought of that before we shut down the internet when we looked up the roster before. But here, let's just look up the recruiting rankings real quick, just to figure out who the player is that we are trying to reference here. Let's see, player rankings. Here we are, down at the bottom here. I guess we got Dieter, and it seems like the receivers have been like the #1 players in the nation too recently as well too. I guess he is also going to OS chat, OSU, but. At least he's a defensive lineman. He's not a receiver. The Michigan offensive line, obviously, it tends to be the strength of the team. They're the lines either way. So the University of Miami getting some recruits here in the top 2 of the top 8, it looks like. But I guess we're looking for this 2026 class, and I guess he could be just #1 receiver. Okay, we've got Keyshawn Henderson, if I'm saying the name right, is the #1 overall recruit this past class, going to Houston as well too, quarterback. Hey, yo. So is he gonna start? I guess we're gonna get sidetracked here. It is what it is. We'll get back on track. Don't worry, we're not gonna forget about the Westbrook career here, obviously, at this point. But let's see. I don't know if Houston has like a transfer senior or something that should potentially be, in that role for starting soon. But I guess, obviously with the NIL investment, with some of the, recruits there, maybe it is a little like a first round pick where it's like, well, if we invest $5 billion in a, recruit $3 million or whatever, maybe you have to start him at some point as well too. Top recruit Keyshawn Henderson takes center stage in Houston's spring game, included a 50-yard touchdown. Ooh, okay. So it does look like here. Do we have to go starting ? And see what we can get? how Houston is handling 2 5-star QBs at once. Oh, they also have Connor Wegman as well too. Okay, so there it is. I guess we could look up the Houston roster. Okay, I don't think we have any guidelines set there, but I guess he has been a productive player in college football for sure. So maybe he gets that opportunity. That is sort of appropriate sometimes in the college sports, a little different in the NFL, obviously. And I guess it's not so different in the NFL in some ways. Again, you do have all the scenario all the time. I mean, with the Raiders right now, where you have, of course, Kirk Cousins is maybe going to be the week 1 starter for Oakland at this point. Or, obviously if Mendoza just rips up the preseason, then it's like, oh, well, we'll just start Mendoza week 1. But, you could have those couple of Cousins starts or whatever while Mendoza still adjusts to the, entire scale of the league and all that. But, and again, it wouldn't be, oh, yeah, I guess it is, again, a little bit like Kirk Cousins as a senior, that last opportunity. Again, it is the waiting versus, again, if Wegman still continues to win, you would just play him all year, obviously, if you were doing good. And I guess you would do that for Cousins to some degree. If you're like, oh, are we going to just win the AFC West with Cousins this year? I guess we don't really have to play Mendoza. But again, that's not really the plan. The plan is just like, well, I guess we're just buying time for Mendoza to, be prepared to take the starting role. So, again, obviously, there is that sort of appropriate, sometimes if it is a senior, maybe you give them that one last opportunity for, and again, it is, I guess the similarities were, last opportunity to play football sometimes as well too. I guess, obviously it is what it is. But, and I guess now as well too, I don't even know. Could he just transfer again? Could he just keep reinstating? I'm not even sure. But, term limits for college football players, Chad, in 2026. But, again, I shout out to Houston, I guess. And obviously Vanderbilt for getting the number 2 quarterback as well too. And then Tennessee getting, I guess maybe was Brandon, Faison Brandon, was he maybe number 1? At some point, I'm not sure. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, all quarterbacks. I'm sure you could, rank them however you want. But, the class being stacked that highly at the position does seem obviously, pretty stacked compared to some of the last couple of years there. And, again, the drafts have been pretty good for sure, for the most part. So maybe we even get a bigger draft as well, too. But, okay, maybe. So there is a receiver here, I guess. Here, let's go receiver rankings. I guess we can't find the player that we're still trying to search down at this point, chat. Hey, it's where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Who's this player that we're trying to find at this point? Chris Henry Jr. I guess, okay, Jr., yeah, is shout out number 2 overall receiver recruit. Number 1, also Tennessee. So Tennessee potentially number 1 quarterback and number 1 receiver as well too in the rankings. TK Keys, hey yo, so that could be a pretty dynamic, pretty dynamic duo right there in the Heupel offense if he's still there. I guess are we keeping up with every single head coach move? But they've been pretty successful over the last couple of years, so I imagine that he's still doing fine there for sure. Oregon, Bama, USC, Miami, Florida, LSU, another SC. Okay, then we get another state receiver down at 12. Michigan maybe not always the receiving recruiting rankings, but again can have productive players for sure, obviously have great receivers. And I did see a graphic, I guess this had to be this past summer on ESPN, where just walking around the restaurant and glancing up at the TV, where it was like the most, or no, maybe this was on, I think this was scrolling Instagram, where it was like the most, just the schools that were the best at putting out the most NFL talent, basically players getting drafted as well too. I guess you could start breaking it down for all stars, who's actually getting the most players like being really great in the NFL, but who's getting the most players drafted, which again is a different argument and a different thing to look at for the recruiting pipeline of it for sure. Because again, once you get into the NFL, obviously, the pitches that these schools are making to the different recruits is, going to be different at that point. Obviously their careers are out of their hands, but the school's hands in terms of the development and how they can set them up for that first NFL paycheck. But if you are a school that is more known obviously for getting guys just initially drafted into the NFL and for launching those opportunities, again, it is a different thing in terms of, and it's like, okay, obviously it's not Michigan, doesn't, they're not pulling in the 6th best receiver in the class this year. And maybe it was a little different recruiting this year as well too. Again, was Michigan the most locked in on recruiting? I don't know. because they did have, a couple other things going on as well too. And I guess we are going to get sidetracked with Michigan football here. And again, Westbrook, shout out. Obviously, again, great career. But Michigan football with some crazy quotes in this offseason. Multiple people being like, I guess we don't really hate Ohio State that much. It's like, wait a second, what happened to the rivalry? What happened to, the passion in sport? I guess, we have seen this in professional sports to some degree, where it's like, oh, all the old guys are mad because all the players just like each other now. It's like there's no rivalries. It's like, I guess, that is obviously fun competitively when there is, real competitiveness there that can boil over as well too. It is also, over the past couple playoffs and stuff, like, and just even in regular season games, like we can still have really, really good basketball, even if the players like don't, have like the same sort of hate for each other as they would in the, the 80s or the 90s or something like that. I don't know. And again, it's a maybe a bit of an exaggeration to talk about like the rivalries. Again, there was maybe some teams that were more confrontational back in the day, but especially for the NBA as well. Like at some point, in the or maybe it was the 90s, but at some point, Bird and Magic and their rivalry, like they became friends. Like, and the 92 Dream Team, I guess, again, like Isaiah Thomas maybe didn't get along with everybody. Is that why he wasn't on the team? But I'm trying to think now. What's the iconic quote, obviously, that you get of Isaiah Thomas, where he's like, I deserve to be on the team, and I just didn't qualify. Obviously, that's not what the quote is, but I can't think of it at the moment. But we all know the clip. But again, obviously, most of those guys on the team liked each other at that point. It seemed like that team got along. Like, again, Jordan was this ultimate competitive guy. Like, oh, Jordan was a jerk to all of his teammates, and but like again, that's like part of the story as well too. Also, there is the Jordan was just like gambling all the time, having Jordan was a fun guy as well too. It turns out MJ knows how to have a good time. Hey, but man's just golfing and partying as much as he's practicing basketball. But yeah, again, so it does, like the player, but and then like we're saying, the bad boy Pistons, I guess that also does go into Isaiah Thomas as well too. Turns out, I guess if you do start clotheslining everybody in the league, maybe you're not going to make the 92 Dream Team. But again, for the most part, like the league kind of did get along in some ways. And then maybe the 2000s again, like I guess there was maybe some like friendships. Maybe that wasn't like a friendship heavy time in the league, but wasn't like an enemy heavy time in the league as well too. Like obviously, the Spurs and the Lakers were rivals. Like there were rivalries on the court as well too. Again, Spurs, Mavs. I can think, I mean, obviously of all the Spurs rivalries, but was there like that pure hatred or whatever? But college sports is the one where you do have like the real rivalries that do last, and not to, that hasn't faded at this point. I guess in the modern era, when this competitiveness at the pro level maybe has been examined a little bit, like the rivalry still has been there in college. And again, college sports, it goes both ways. Obviously, the college sports that we would watch the most would be football and basketball, but I'm sure there's the great baseball rivalries, great I don't know, lacrosse, swimming, gymnastics, I don't know, what are all the other sports out there? As well too, wrestling, I guess, here in the Midwest, the home state of Iowa anyways, obviously a bigger wrestling school, but again, for I guess it's like Iowa Penn State, like a big wrestling rivalry. I don't know. But again, that is where, like the true team hatred, quote unquote sports hatreds lie in sports, is in the college rivalries. And it still has, I guess been in, manifested in the players as well too, where they can still get up for those rivalry games in some ways. And I guess, there is the whole transferring stuff as well too. So you don't have the same maybe players, like actually playing against each other for 4 years. I guess you do still have like a 3-year window in the and in the NFL NCAA cycle versus again the NBA obviously now is short. It's like, oh, guys don't even stay in school anymore. But in football you could still hypothetically have those matchups of those teams playing year after year. But again, maybe the transfer stuff is starting to mess with that a little bit. I don't know. You have these guys that go in for one season, but again, it would still seem like you could get up for the school rivalry part of it, and that competitiveness would still be there. Again, for Michigan specifically, I think it was Underwood maybe even saying that again, some of the, it's like, oh, Ohio State, just take it like another game, whatever. I don't know. And, again, Underwood, recruited to Michigan. Like, hopefully he would be a guy that would be there his entire career. He would be one of those guys that would have the consistent matchups against the players and the familiarity there as well too. Whittingham is a little bit of a Trojan horse. We do got to admit that, Chet. Hey, because he did literally work with Urban Meyer back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. So, we haven't, we're the one person out here that hasn't gone to see the Odyssey yet. Chet, what do you want us to do? It is what it is. But I guess it might still be in theaters for a while. So, we still have, we'll be like, oh, we'll see it. And then the minute we actually like, okay, let me go see it, it's not going to be there. But I guess, we still know that obviously the idea of the Trojan horse, though. I don't know. Maybe I guess I didn't see too many trailers, so like I don't want to spoil it going in. And then I was like, oh, I haven't even seen it yet. But so now I'm just gonna go. I should just go back and watch all the trailers, I guess, and now just watch all like the YouTube explainers of like breaking down the Odyssey, or like find like an audiobook of the Odyssey and just listen to that. I guess I could probably just like bang out a Wikipedia recap of the Odyssey. Just like 3 paragraphs of the Odyssey. We got it. We're good to go. The most, complex epic in the history of epics. And it's like, let me just read the Wikipedia. Can I just get ChatGPT to summarize the Odyssey in 2 sentences? Just be like, oh, did he make it? I guess it just depends on, does it depend on how you tell the story? I guess, again, I don't know how the real Odyssey ends. I think I do know how the movie ends. I think I did have like a podcast autoplay situation. Maybe like I was like, okay, I just like walk into the room, the big picture's playing, and it's like, oh, wait a second, the spoiler alerts for the Odyssey. Hey, yo. Like now all of a sudden, of course, I just walk in on the part where they're talking about the end of the movie. But again, I guess it's the Odyssey, so is the ending really a spoiler? But speaking of Trojan horses, I guess what we were talking about, hey, Kyle Whittingham, a former Ohio State, loyalist, is now coaching Michigan, and it turns out his loyalty is still alive with Ohio State because he's like, yeah, I actually don't hate him. So I remember I like had a physical I did see that one in the restaurant. I had like a physical reaction walking around work where I was like almost dropped all the dishes that we were carrying. It's like Kyle Whittingham says, I was like, come on, at least play the part of a Michigan coach. What are you doing? Like, could you lie? Like, are you gonna, I guess, what's gonna happen to his career? The cult of the Buckeyes, is he gonna are they gonna go after him if he starts talking bad about him? It's like, oh, what happened to Whittingham now that he said he hates Ohio State now? But again, like, could you at least fake it for the Michigan fans? At least make us, pause. But we gotta be careful how we quote this. But at least make us, feel like we, have a coach that is just going to be a rival coach there for a second, and, still have the same competitiveness that the fans are going to have going into the game. Hey, it's like the one thing that you shouldn't say, as a Michigan head coach is, Ohio State, they're kind of okay. It's like, what are we doing here? Again, we get it. It's like, okay, you could talk about, oh, I've had good times there, but again, lie, be like, but times have changed. Hey, it could be like that old guy that's like, you better start praying for yourself. It's like Kyle Whittingham's like, I've had good times, but times have changed, and I'm at Michigan now. And it's like, hey, he's ready to go. Like, we'll be there, end of the season. I guess, obviously it doesn't even matter now if Ohio State loses, because they can just rally back. There's 20 teams that make the college football playoff, and they just make the playoff every year. It doesn't even matter. Hey, But, and, obviously, shout out to Van Lathan, Higher Learning Pod, was speaking so eloquently about this on his show, where he was, talking about that status of what that rivalry means, again, just in sports in general. Like, that is it's always good to hear other people admit it as well too. And it's just one of those things. Like, what are the undeniable things in sports? Like, we talk about it from a player greatness standpoint, where it's like, oh, Brady is the best quarterback of all time. Is, Lawrence Taylor is, I guess maybe Jerry Rice at receiver is a little bit more, set in stone as well too. Obviously, I guess the, Jordan debate is, a little bit more open for debate now. Obviously LeBron, but again, there are some of those. Is Wayne Gretzky still the greatest hockey player of all time? Undoubtedly. I guess from soccer, Pele, I don't know. But for, like we're saying, from a rivalry standpoint, it is undeniable that the best rivalry in American sports is Michigan versus Ohio State. It is the game. Again, it is just called the game. There is nothing else. I guess there is the rapper, obviously shout out, but there is nothing else in sports that can just be called the game. I guess, the only other thing is the Super Bowl itself, where it's the biggest American event in entertainment, just in general. So we're talking about that again. Number one American entertainment event that we've ever created in the history of the country is the game, and then after that, the Michigan Ohio State rivalry is also the game, and then I guess the Michael Douglas movie, and then the rapper, or is it the rapper and then the Michael Douglas movie? Hey yo, let us know, Chad, if you had to have one, one in your life for the rest of your life. Are you taking Michael Douglas, David Fincher film The Game, or are you taking the game's discography? Hey yo, the documentary two, the documentary two and a half. I mean, there's some classics there. Hey yo, but I guess it is a debate. I guess there is more music with the game versus just one movie with the game. So, obviously, so more just time. I guess is it a cheat code taking the? So do we have to take? Would you take the documentary series versus the game, the movie? But again, I think the Super Bowl and then the Michigan Ohio State rivalry would still be over. Shout out to those two respectively. But it is what it is. But again, just lie, just pretend. Hey, if Urban Meyer was still there, maybe again you would have the I have a lot of respect for Urban and what he he did, but we gotta lock it and be competitive. Like again, there are other scenarios, I guess, in other versions of the quote, other just being like, we don't hate Ohio State that much around. We're instituting a new culture here in Michigan. It's love all over the place. We just love Ohio State. We love all these rivals now that we're going for. It's like, wait a sec, what happened? What happened to the college football that I know? That's not the college football that I root for. The college football that I root for is we hate Ohio State. We don't. That's the fact that I've even said the name this much. It's just I feel like I don't even want to say it's a journalistic pass. Again, that's I don't want to go down that route. But for again, the team from Columbus, like we'll just have to start changing that. We've hit our quota. So again, it is what it is. It's the number one. It's undeniable, and not say you have to play into it, but again, because it's like, oh well, I guess the authenticity. At least we know where you stand as well too. But again, it is like, what are we doing here? Do you not think that that's gonna go? Do you think that's just gonna go unnoticed? Like, oh yeah, let me just sit here and talk openly about my feelings about Ohio State and just assume that nobody at Michigan is gonna take this poorly. What percentage of the Michigan fans? It's gonna be like 80-20. Be like, yeah, we understand what Whittingham, is at. And I think there was that thought as well too. Again, when he got hired to the team, it was okay. We are in a little bit of a transitional year here. Bringing in a veteran coach with some really, really great pedigree is, again, a pretty great move for a potential short-term situation. But, again, there was that storyline as well, too. It's like, okay, he does have this Ohio State history in there. Hey, yo. I don't even know what the other comparison would be like. Because if it was like Google and Apple or something, or Amazon or Marvel and DC, I don't know. Like, again, you would just like, that'd be part of the resume. You'd be like, oh, it's good that you worked at DC. That's like the only other great thing out. I guess not the only other great thing out, but again, it's like, oh, that's the next best thing. Come over here and work at Marvel, or the other way around, or again, oh, you worked at Google and you want to work at Apple now. By all means, what do you know, and come over here. But again, I guess Michigan, again, the rivalry that we're talking about. It's like, oh, wait a second, you were over there. Hey, yeah. Maybe we just need some. Maybe we just need some. A fresh name at the head coaching spot. And there was the alternate route where we could have kept. Forgive me if I'm not getting the name right, but hey, poor fan over here. But we had the interim coach that was a really beloved guy in just the entire locker room, but again, just in the university and the whole community. Yeah, just a real leader. But is it Biff Poggi? Is that the name? Hey, so is he still on the team there? Let's see if I'm getting that right. Yeah, Biff Poggi, chat. Hey, shout out. So he is at Francis Xavier Poggi. Most recently interim head coach, was promoted, rejoined the program in 2025. So I guess is he back, chat? Hey, we got to do a little coaching staff update here and see what we got going on. Land's new job after coaching Wolverines. Biff Poggi served Michigan head coach 2 different times. He will be staying around football, the Big Ten Network. He's gonna Poggi will serve. Oh, Big Ten Network chat. Hey, yo, so a little different than coaching, I guess. He's gonna be an analyst. So, but again, he probably wants the more head coaching opportunity now that he's literally been the interim head coach at Michigan. Again, that's gonna, you know, hopefully boost the resume a little bit. Left Michigan. Oh, that's right. He went to Charlotte, but things didn't go as planned. It was like halfway through the season. Hey, again, shout out. You trying his best, but again, I guess there was that opportunity where he could have just stayed around. And again, I guess if Charlotte, that's probably not the best resume. I guess if Charlotte, again, the Charlotte head coaching system's not, going that well. But still, again, he's obviously a beloved guy. And does he hate Ohio State? Hey, that should just be the number one question on the resume now. At this point, I guess obviously there are other things as well too. But again, for the football side of things, like, what are your feelings on Ohio State? You hate him? Okay, good. Bring him in to coach the team. Hey, So, Whittingham, just, at least, use ChatGPT to be like, how would a Michigan fan talk about Ohio State or something, and at least try to fake it. Hey, just gonna have, because you do see those, of course, videos of the people that'll be doing like the job interviews or the tests or something on Zoom, and they'll have their phone like taped up on the computer screen. Then the phone will be reading they'll have the microphone from the AI reading the question that the person's saying over the Zoom, and then the person that's watching the AI be like reading the response back, and it's like, oh, look at this person's just nailing their job interview. They're so eloquent. And they're just like, okay, yeah, obviously they're just reading off the ChatGPT teleprompter. Like, at least Whittingham, just do that. Hey, just tape up your phone on the podium where nobody can see it. Just like have the microphone set up so when the reporters ask the questions, just push the microphone and be like, okay, how would a Michigan fan respond to this? And at least try, at least there's an effort there that's being made somehow. Or have like a translator maybe as well too, like Michigan fan translator on the side that could reinterpret things with more of a Michigan fan, mindset. Where it's like, oh, actually, I don't really hate Ohio State. I love my time there. And then Michigan translator's like, actually, he said he hates Ohio State. He wants to make sure that they score 0 points over the next decade. It's like, okay, that sounds a little bit better than what I thought I heard. But, again, at least there's got to be some sort of deception to the, at least fool us. Hey, it is what it is. But, now we just have to know all year that you just are looking forward to playing Ohio State. You're like, I actually hope we play them on the road because I can't wait to go back to the horseshoe. It's like, what are we doing? Hey, But I guess, obviously, again, there's other things to look at for the Michigan roster as well, too. Again, obviously, the question is more the shape of what the team will be like when we get there to the game as well. But, shout out, I guess, again, the Underwood questions are going to be more important to be answered this year. Our voice is shaking as we're talking about Bryce Underwood. We're like, hopefully it goes well. But man, we still believe. If there is a fan out there that will believe in a quarterback until the end, chat, hey, the REMINGTOM pod is it. We were the last people out here, defending Anthony Richardson. Hey, you didn't know who we were gonna say there, Anthony Richardson. Hey, I guess I even was gonna, I guess I don't want to be disrespectful, but I was using Anthony Richardson as part of my fantasy team name that I will be changing. It's just a placeholder, but because now I have to actually draft Anthony Richardson. Hey, should we run a practice mock draft real quick before we get into some of the other stuff, just to keep our skills high right now, so that way we're locked in, when the fantasy draft actually gets here. Because next week will be fantasy draft week on the REMINGTOM pod. We got fantasy draft rankings, so it'll be fun. I guess fantasy mock drafts all week. Hey, we're looking forward to it. But and just I hate Ohio State rankings all week. Hey, but again, I guess we'll have to see. Hopefully, the player competitiveness will be able to carry over as well too. I guess Whittingham's not playing, so that'll help. But he won't be inspiring the team to compete against him as well. Be like, okay, boys, I really love these guys out here, so take it easy on them. But so we'll see if maybe they get a different. Bring Harbaugh back, I guess, just for the game. And then we'll see how that goes. But we said we were going to talk about Westbrook, chat. Hey, Russell Westbrook, the great Russell Westbrook, because he did announce his retirement. as well. I guess it is official. I was gonna say, do I go like hot take? Oh, Westbrook, are we gonna see him again? But he dropped a video. So if you drop the retirement video, I mean, does that make it official now at this point? I guess. Okay, chat. Wait a second. If I'm gonna click into the Instagram, wait a second. Let me just take some some precautions real quick and just mute the page while we get this to load. You never know. Is it gonna just load up on my home screen? Ayo. But okay, and I guess we got to find the post as well too here. Oh, I guess he just has the one. Hey yo, I don't know. Is the Michael B. Jordan monologue? Hopefully it's not copyrighted. Hopefully we're able to watch it here. I guess we can just keep an eye on it. Maybe we don't have to listen to it as well. But he did have a high production situation here queued up pretty quickly as well. Here, wait, do I have it unmuted in the background? I don't.
So tonight,
Okay, there we go.
I'm not going to tell you what any of this means. I'm just going to show you. And I'm going to ask him a few questions along the way. Not because I expect an answer, but because some things deserve to be asked, even in silence. This one's from the inner city of South Central. Before any of it, before the triple doubles, before the MVP, before anybody outside of Los Angeles knew his name. Because why not? This was the next chapter. The Sonics made him the number 4 pick in 2008. No one in OKC could have told you what he'd become. And this is the one people point to, like it explains everything. It doesn't. Well, not really. Russ, what kept you going all those years? What made you get back up night after night when the whole league had a highlight reel of you falling down? Yeah, I figured that. People forget.
Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew who I was.
Before he was a walking headline, he was just a kid from inner city LA who could jump higher than anybody had a right to.
Westbrook from UCLA.
Somewhere between the dunks and the draft classes, he became something else. Not just a player, a personality. A meme before we even called it that. A husband, a father, a guy in a kilt at the Met, daring anybody to say something. What did winning mean to you? I mean, really. No, not just the trophies. The actual feeling of it. Some things you don't say. You just play them over and over until everyone else understands too. Because why not? This swing isn't finished yet. That's not a mistake. We left it this way on purpose. Because whatever's next, the mentorship, the foundation, the kids who are going to grow up wanting to move just like he did, that part hasn't been built yet either. Were you ever afraid of what happens after the game stops needing you? This swing isn't finished. Neither is he. And that's the point. Last question. Now that you decided to step away from everything on your own terms, what are you the most proud of?
Oh, Chad, it ends off on a great note, obviously, looking forward to the next chapter of his career.
That might be the best interview I've ever done. He didn't say a word. And somehow, I understood everything.
There we go. Shout out. Westbrook deserves to let us, complete the video there and, really, obviously, again, pay homage to the career. But, again, like we're saying, the focus on the greater impact as well to the community, to the area, to the, the focus to his family and to his story. I was seeing, obviously, some clips about, the wristband that he had been wearing his entire career and the friend that he had, lost, rest in peace to him. And, again, just keeping his memory alive all these years through, again, just the legacy of what he was wearing on the court and continuing to talk and promote about, his life there. But, again, it just goes to the person that Westbrook was. And I was thinking about, again, obviously, as everybody was, his NBA career. And the thing that was, the Westbrook career eulogy here for him, but the thing that was jumping out for me just thinking back on it, and in the moment as well too. It's not like, you need to think back on his career to, realize this. But, it is just always been the thing that has jumped out to me. And there is this one play in particular that I really think of that emphasizes this. But I just think he was the most, if I can use the word, inspiring player that's ever played the game, the most energy creating player that's ever played the game. Like, I don't think anybody has been able to draw as much, obviously just, has anybody ever played with as much passion for the game themselves? But even the way that would translate into the crowd, like, I don't think anybody could energize a crowd through their own energy the way that Westbrook could, if that makes sense. Obviously, again, there going to be moments where great players are, doing great things, and the crowd's going crazy. Hey, yo. But the way that Westbrook could just get the fan base to rally around him in a game, in the moment, is one of the most incredible things. And again, just in the moment, in quote unquote, like, random moments of the game. Like, the one clip I'm thinking of is this clip against the Lakers in the playoffs where Westbrook gets a fast break opportunity against Kobe. Rest in peace to Kobe. And Kobe fouls him. And Westbrook kind of throws up this crazy layup attempt, and it banks off the backboard and goes in. And it's like the third quarter of it. It's a playoff game. It's a high-level game. But it's like the third quarter of this game. They're Thunder go up by 1 point. Again, it's still like, again, that quote-unquote, not random moment, but just a moment within the middle of the game there. And it's the loudest and most, emphatic a crowd has ever been. Any buzzer beater, any crazy highlight play ever, it's like just this random third quarter Westbrook moment is providing the most energy ever in NBA history. Because again, that's what Westbrook was as a player. AO is as well. But, again, that's, the person of it for Westbrook as well too. Again, you see, obviously, again, just the passionate, person that he is. And, again, you obviously, like we're saying, can't just get up and just play with that as well too. Like, he's obviously, going to the extra level that we've ever seen for NBA history there. And, again, I don't think that it would be appropriate. Well, maybe now you would say, I don't know if Westbrook's underrated now because of some of the years that he's had here at the end of his career. But I do think, again, that his game is going to age super favorably because, again, like, who didn't love rooting for and love watching Russell Westbrook play? Like, yes, I guess there was obviously the frustrations, but, and I guess maybe I'm, again, looking at this through my own feelings as well too, obviously through Westbrook, but he is one of the few guys where it's like, I don't really care about the frustrations with Westbrook. Like, they are what they are, I guess, and again, there are some legitimate, I guess, quote unquote, legitimate 2020s, 2010s modern basketball things with the 3-point shooting. I guess, is there some skill sets there that you would improve for Westbrook? It's honestly like, thank goodness Westbrook doesn't, shoot threes. It is, obviously Giannis, I think point Giannis, if he's like, point guard mini Giannis, I don't think that that's like a hot take there for sure. Definitely some similar play styles, the way that they're just able to relentlessly get to the basket and physically power through people. Obviously, Westbrook was doing that as a guard as well too. And, again, just the speed and explosiveness for which they play at. But, again, for both those guys, if they have 3-point jumpers, they're like the greatest players that have ever played in NBA history. Like, Westbrook would have, and again, you could say that about anybody. It's like, oh, if Kyrie is 6'7", he's the best player of all time. If Steph Curry is 6'9", who's stopping him? It's like, I guess if everybody's not a point guard. But, or, if Steph Curry was like a little bigger and, like, I guess he's, is he not, he is strong, but, again, just try to throw out, like, what would be the random thing there. But, again, there are all those things where it's like, okay, if this guy did this, then yes, he would be the most perfect player in NBA history because then he would do everything. But that is really one of those, like, thank goodness Westbrook never shot threes. Like, as a Spurs fan, if Westbrook was hitting threes, you would just, like, you're just, like, sinking back into your seat. Like, what do you do? Hey, like, I guess there is a, it is different, like, if you're rooting for Durant, where you kind of go into the game knowing that he can do everything in some ways. And, again, like, obviously, maybe you would say Durant's the quote-unquote more talented player overall than Westbrook. Again, that's not really the point here. But the point is, there is something to when the guy who doesn't have the skill set as well too, like, then has the skill in the game, and you're like, oh no, now Westbrook is shooting the threes and it's just unstoppable. And again, it is almost even a little more terrifying than when Durant is, fully out of powers. Again, it's difficult to compare as well too, because they're different moments. A player maybe playing more, again, quote unquote, outside of his game, but it's like we're saying, just brings him to a different level of player. But again, that's not the point. The point is the best version of Westbrook, just the night to night version of Westbrook, the version of his game that you remember, again, is just a crazy, passionate, crazy, favorable remembering of his game, I guess, is, the way that I'm trying to say it. Where I don't know, again, like, not to, rip on the 2000s point guards, but, there just might be some other point guards in the past where, maybe there would be, I guess, like the finals or whatever, like Jason Kidd versus Russell Westbrook or something. I don't know. And, again, it's nothing against Kidd or whatever. It's just like there is, like we're saying, very few players ever in NBA history. I don't, want to throw out one name, but there's just very few players in NBA history that I think you remember with just the fondness for their game because of the passion that they showed for basketball. Like, it's unquestioned. Like, you do know, again, if you have Westbrook on your team, like, he is literally going to, give it his all every night. And again, he's a great player. So while that will have some moments where, yes, there's going to be turnovers. Yes, there's going to be inconsistencies in the offense. There's going to be moments where you're like, okay, Westbrook, like, is this the best shot that we should be getting into? It's like you can even do this thing, better than this certain mid-range thing. So just get to the basket instead of falling for this specific thing over and over again. Again, that's just every great player. They're going, like we're saying, Curry's going to have moments where he's throwing behind the back passes out of bounds. You're like, why can't you just, throw up, what happened to a good old chest pass or something like that? There are going to be those moments of frustration with everybody. But I guess for Westbrook, some reason they were a little bit more pronounced. Of course, Bill Simmons obviously had that theory for Westbrook. I'm trying to remember what the exact percentage was for it. Was it 80-20 or was it maybe 90-10? Where he's like, oh, the 90%. I still don't really I can't fully wrap my mind around what that means, but it's like the 90% of what he does well is really well, but then the 10% of what he does is like, it really stands out. Like, I guess I'm trying to wrap my mind around how, and this is, again, maybe a little bit of a pause, but, how somebody else's 10% can be different than somebody, I guess, it can be different than somebody else's 10%. I guess there are ways to comprehend that, but still, I'm thinking from an NBA talent frustration standpoint. Like, if somebody is 10%, how is, I guess, and again, I guess, like, play time does matter. Like, I guess, thinking in the quarterback context, for sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to, like, be difficult. I guess it is what it is. But, you do have the quarterback context where when are you making the turnovers? If you have, 9 picks on the year compared to somebody has 13 or, 14 or something like that, is this guy's got more picks? But, maybe he was having a couple games where he had like 2 series early on where the game started poorly, and then after that they settled in and were still able to win the game or whatever. Maybe, again, the poor plays were in the late moments, and there was some of that throughout the course of his career. But I can't even really, again, and maybe it's just maybe I'm thinking too positively at this point of Westbrook. I've just blocked out for some reason all of the the bad basketball memories. But I'm trying to think, like, what is the bad Westbrook basketball memory? Like, really? Like, again, it is like the night to night, I guess, frustration of us just being, particular about Westbrook. Like, his game is really like a movie criticism, where it's like when a movie first drops and it just gets picked apart, and again, we're like, okay, why is the critic score for this so low? And then you go back and watch it over a time, and you're like, this is actually pretty good. Like, I think this is actually highly enjoyable. And then in like 10 years, you're like, this is an all-time classic. It's like John Carpenter's The Thing or something like that, where it's like this, it's like, this is Abomination when it drops. And then in 40 years, it's like, this is a masterpiece of cinema. We got to put this in the Smithsonian. This is one of the greatest things that's ever dropped. Like, that is Westbrook's game. Like, in the night to night, movie criticism of it, the critics walking out of the theater, and you're like, okay, I was paying attention to every single moment, and comparing it against this player's every single moment and this player's every single moment. And it's like, when you step away from, I guess, all that, and you're just looking at the totality of what Westbrook's career was and what the Westbrook experience was, again, it's like, this is a classic. This is, again, obviously, again, the Hall of Fame debate is not it's not there, because he's obviously a Hall of Famer. Again, that's not the question or anything like that. But just the level to which, again, he would be solidified as a great player for being maybe, again, like a great all-time player versus a great era player. And he did, play in a really tough era as well, too, where you do obviously have, again, just so many great guards, Curry being the lead guy, and, CP3 even as well, too, with the recent retirement this past year. I mean, that's another thing. Like, Westbrook is, so, I guess, likable, and people are so much, people are in such a celebratory mood celebrating his career that they're like, actually, remember CP3 as well, too? Like, let's just tell CP3 that we were appreciative of him because we're just having so much fun, talk about Westbrook's career. Like, oh, I just, it's like we didn't forget about just CP3, but it's like they're only posting him now that Russ retired as well, too. Would there have been the off-season thread of, oh, CP3, we love you, you never got the retirement tour, if Westbrook didn't retire? I guess we didn't have the double retirement. So, we'll be the only ones that actually shout out CP3. No, but we've already shouted Westbrook the entire time, and then it reminded us to shout out CP3. So I guess it didn't work that way as well, which is also, again, a shame because there maybe is, but maybe, it's close again. Like Chris Paul is got the more, traditional point guard skill set, the playmaker. Again, it's like just easy to solve, makes everybody better, whatever. It's like, okay, well, I guess you just want the player that makes everybody better as well, too. But, Westbrook did as well, too. Again, did he not make Durant better? Like and again, we have to go back and watch, I guess, the 2016 Western Conference Finals to really figure out what happened there. But it's not like Westbrook and Durant couldn't have won the title. Again, there is that, I guess, quote of like, oh, if Westbrook's your best player, you didn't win the title or whatever. And I guess, the specifics of that are true. But, again, like him and Durant, should have, again, that's not a hot take, but they, that's the point is they were championship level duo there. Like you can't, from a legacy standpoint, again, in the rankings, like we're saying, for ranking duos, rank them over duos that would be significantly more playoff successful than them. But from a player talent standpoint and how we can evaluate his career and for what is fair to criticize Westbrook for, like, I don't think it's fair to, sit here and say you could never win a championship with Russell Westbrook as, again, a best player or like a 1B as well, too. Again, would Westbrook have been, again, and would anybody have been, the hollowed few that really throw a team on their back, Kawhi, I guess, in 2019 or something like that. Would Westbrook have been to that level? I don't know. But, he would have been, like we're saying, that really strong, I guess the Pistons were kind of like a balanced 5-team core or something. And obviously maybe Shaq and Kobe's a little bit higher of a version of it. But I think Shaq and Kobe would have been the most closest appropriate duo anyways for Westbrook and Durant in some ways. And I guess, again, for Kobe, rest in peace, he did have the run later in his career where he was able to win those 2 titles. And obviously what that meant for solidifying his legacy as a best player. Again, Durant and Westbrook never got the one together, but Westbrook never got like back to the finals in a sense without Durant, like kind of duplicating that as well too. But, again, he never really had the overall teams, and he was in the same spot that the rest of the league was at that point. Like, yes, it goes to the Durant side of the argument that if Durant goes to a team, then, that team becomes overpowered. But again, like Russ was in the same place that, again, everybody was at that time. Like that team specifically because of partially Durant, but they also had so many other great players, the Warriors. Like that team was a little unstoppable. Westbrook's best years as a best player were like that. So maybe Westbrook is like the Barkley of our era in some ways. Like that guy that never won the ring, but is beloved enough that should have won it. And I guess CP3, speaking of, speaking of Westbrook and CP3, like CP3 is actually, well, I guess, again, Westbrook did get to a title. I was gonna say he was the one of the two to get to the title. I guess he just, again, got to the title at a different time in his career a little bit later, and still as a 1B in a similar way that, Westbrook did. So they are kind of even there as well too. But, again, for like we're saying, I just think that for the way that we kind of talked about Westbrook night to night, it is one of those things that, again, makes you think about how you, I guess, are talking about players now night to night. Because, again, it's like, to have such a great career go by and to not, be maybe celebrating it a little bit more in the moment is definitely a little bit more of a shame. And, again, like, definitely the NBA community, the NBA online, like, again, like, Russ is a beloved player. Like, I'm not, not saying he doesn't need to, have more, people speaking well about his game. Ayo, but I'm just saying that there is obviously a great community that supports Westbrook as a player there for sure. Like he does have, he is one of the more popular / beloved / rabid, passionate fan bases in the league as well too. And he was, he was a guy that was kind of in the argument for best player in the league. Like maybe was on the, the outside looking in more often, again, right, kind of on the outside, not in a disrespectful way. Again, just saying like the 1 to 2 to 3 guys who would truly be in the conversation. And then he maybe is in that next tier of guys that you have to bring up. But again, like Westbrook would be in the tier of guys that you would have to bring up at that time. And I guess, again, winning an MVP of the league, like how many players have ever obviously won an MVP of the league? He goes on that short list. Was he NBA 75? I guess he would have had to have been if he was an MVP, but we can double check that here as well too, just to get an overview of what the actual accolades were there. But and really I think had a little bit, probably an 18-year career for the type of player that he was, again, is impressive. Like that would be one of those arguments, I guess, again, like you would go for CP3 or something like that. Be like, oh, well, Westbrook's athleticism. If you take Westbrook's career and he gets hurt, is he going to be able to, what happens when his athleticism falls off? It's like, I guess, he did obviously become a different player at the end of his career a little bit, but he played for 18 seasons. So you can't say once his athleticism falls off, he's going to be, in year 12, whatever. Like, again, you're going to get two decades of play out of Westbrook's career in that type of argument there. So just kind of, insanely sustainable. I mean, yeah, 80, early on in his career, 4 of the first 5 years played the most games in the league. Obviously one of them was a strike season there with the 66, but was still, up until the injury season in 13-14, was, again, a lead minutes guy as well too. Is that one of those things for, again, how maybe that is the one sort of durability moment of his career? Was he playing so aggressively there through the first couple of years of his career that it kind of, and I guess that's not even true as well too, now that I'm thinking about it, because one of those early injuries was kind of a, I'm not saying somebody hurt him, but again, it wasn't like he planted and the knee broke, or again, he planted in the ACL tore, a non-contact. It wasn't like it was non-contact. I think it literally was a contact injury where was it Pat Bev? I want to throw out the name Pat Bev, but I don't want to just throw that out there, and just blame Pat Bev. But I want to say there may have been a Pat Bev, or may have literally been a CP3 situation as well too. Obviously, CP3 had the moment against the Thunder in the playoffs that was more of a basketball moment, but I'm trying to remember if there was an injury moment there as well that may have been a part of it. But yeah, he was, of course, NBA 75th anniversary team, so that would, again, for the MVP accolade there, of course, make a lot of sense. I can't imagine that there was an MVP that was left off as well. Again, because you obviously have, guys winning multiple MVPs. So it's not like there's more than 75 guys that won the MVP. I'm trying to pull up the list just to get the list of guards here as well, too. I mean, we kind of, know who the top ones are there. But just to see, maybe some of the, it's like Dennis Johnson, again, I guess they don't have them organized by position here. Pause. We got Tiny Archibald, more like kind of true point guard style guys, obviously. Again, like Ray Allen is a 2 guard. I guess Westbrook is kind of a combo guard-esque, but he would be a point guard if you're bringing him in. Again, there would be, I guess, some players that you would maybe play Westbrook off the ball of. Like, would you play him again off the ball of Steve Nash or something like that? But I don't think you would, because Steve Nash would be such a good 3-point shooter that maybe you want Steve Nash. He's such a good passer as well too, but I think him, keeping the offense moving as well, still he would find a way to be, that's still a high IQ player to do that. And again, his 3-point shooting, I think, would maybe be more valuable there. But, either way, I guess maybe Dave Bing more 2 guard, but we'll include him in here as well too. Kind of maybe in that Steph Curry point guard range. Again, Steph Curry, I guess you could argue more of a 2 guard. Walt Frazier. Hey, again, this is a very, very pro Walt Frazier pod. So, are we gonna sit here and say what Russell Westbrook's better than Walt Frazier? Hold on there a second, Chad. Hey, do we throw James Harden on this list? Because again, sort of a 2 guard, 1 guard combo there. Jason Kidd. That's right. Dame Lillard also was on All NBA 75 as well too. Pistol Pete. Hey, shout out Reggie Miller, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Gary Payton. What do we else we got? Oscar. Oh, obviously, you got the triple-double connection between him and Oscar, the first guy to average triple-double. And Westbrook actually made the triple-double, like, normal. He actually, like, killed the triple-double. Like, I guess you could maybe argue that Jokic officially, like, really, really killed the triple-double in some ways. But Westbrook was the one. And again, that, like, the fact that we were finding ways to make that not cool in the moment, it's like, what are we doing? Like, yes, there are some moments where he's chasing a rebound. Also, Durant joined the Warriors. Like, Westbrook can chase some rebounds here. Hey, Durant's chasing a whole decade worth of titles. Like, let's, let Westbrook chase some rebounds. But, again, the fact that it just wasn't, more, I guess, a little bit more celebrated, just to me is maybe a little bit, a little confusing at the time. But, again, obviously, you're trying to win as well, too. Win titles, all that different stuff. But, Jerry West, Dwayne Wade, Westbrook. I guess Wade does have 06. You can't really argue Wade versus Westbrook there. But I don't know, like, I guess we'd have to go year by year because Wade by Wade was still pretty good in 10. It was more like 12, 13. It was just kind of when they were passing each other in the league. I think Wade's probably a little better career than Westbrook there. Is Bill Sharman a guard? He might be. I don't remember exactly. I think we got basically everybody. I guess Earl Monroe, he might be more of a guard forward, but we'll include him just in case. Ayo, shout out to Earl Monroe. You got MJ, 2 guard. Ayo, MJ, he's not on the list. It is what it is. Yeah, I think this is the order of guys that we will look at here. Definitely a good majority. I guess points per game for the career. We've got Jerry West, the number 1 kind of point guardish player of all time, 27. Iverson 26, Oscar 25. I guess this is from the NBA 75, maybe not all time, but Curry, Pete, Harden, Wade, and then Westbrook 20.9. I guess again he did have some early, the end caps of the seasons, were maybe bringing down their career averages, but again, was a 30-point a game guy as well too. I guess everybody here kind of is on this list. Did maybe Wade never actually averaged technically 30? Not to call him out. But Wade never averaged 30. Maybe it was a high 29. Oh, no, 30.2. My bad. I was trying to remember exactly what he did average that year that he did win the scoring title. I didn't say he didn't win a scoring title, because I was going to say that maybe he was like 29 points a game when he won it. But no, 30.2. Shout out. So, yeah, everybody here would be a 30-point game guy, basically. I guess maybe, and Monroe. Oh, and Archibald was as well, too. For sure, one of those years here. Let's see. As well, Archibald, 6-time All-Star, NBA champ in 81. I think that was a little later in his career. Yeah, different role there. 34 points a game in 72, 73. Maybe Archibald was a little like Westbrook before Westbrook in some ways. Maybe not, again, like as rock solid. Pause. As what that's crazy, maybe not as well built. Again, not well built, but maybe not as built as Westbrook was, but because again Westbrook's a tank, but again maybe the same type of quickness, slitheriness, get to the basket, maybe a little, I guess, I don't know, Kyrie as guy. We probably aren't qualified to do tiny Archibald comparisons. I don't know, but again, like we're saying, definitely in the mix with all of these guys that have hot take, but would be in that title. Like Gary Payton, I guess Gary Payton did. Yeah, they did make a finals against the Bulls there. Like, would you say Gary Payton objectively better than Westbrook just because Gary Payton made a finals with that, as a quote unquote? And I guess again, we can't not forget about 2012-13 because Westbrook had that amazing game as well too, where he scored 40. Again, I guess that for some reason, I guess that again just doesn't get in the credit for him there. And I guess, again, James Harden is the interesting one. He is still important to that team in a major way. And just because he's the 6th man, I guess you can't say that he's not important there. But I think that maybe I'm talking for myself as well too, that 2012, 2013 title needs to be a little bit more important for sort of Westbrook's career there. And again, what it means for the types of teams that he can be on as well too. And I'm a little, the fact that he didn't have there was no San Antonio opportunity for Westbrook in there. is a little disappointing, again, for maybe the opportunity. Like, you could see some of the teams that he was pursuing here at the end of the career. Again, he wasn't always going for the title chasing team and trying to be, the bench guy or whatever. And again, that does go to some of the play style things that people always talked about throughout the course of his career as well too. There was always some like off the ball stuff. It's like Westbrook, if he just cut, like you could just get lobs and just, all the crazy stuff that you could be doing as well too. But I don't know, you see him like we were seeing the Team USA, jersey cycle through in the background. Like you see him in some All-Star games and stuff. Like he did definitely take over in All-Star games for sure. But, again, he would, be an explosive secondary player when he needed to be as well. I guess 23 a game in 15-16, but 28 a game, led the league in 14-15, and then 31.6 a game in 16-17 there. Yeah, I mean, again, like literally the triple doubles just, numbed the entire NBA fan base to him. 23-10, 31-10, 25-10 10, and 22-10 and 11, and 22-11 and 11. Hey, yo. I mean, the Washington season goes underrated at this point. The Houston season, obviously, maybe a little bit of a vibe, sort of, maybe not always the greatest there as well. And that was starting to get into the dialogue of like, oh, Westbrook, what kind of teams can he be on? But, the fact that he was putting up a triple-double on this Washington team, and this Washington team made the playoffs. Again, Westbrook is that, impactful guy that is going to raise the floor and raise everybody around him, even if it is in a little bit of a non-traditional type of way, and if it is in a very, again, like Westbrook is still going to be a major part of it. Like, it's not going to be, like we're saying, the take a back seat version of elevate the team, but somehow the team is going to be better for it. It may be not always going to be making like logistical sense, but again, like Beal was still productive on this Washington team. I guess I'd have to go back and, double check the X's and O's. Hey, yo. And if you're ever looking for somebody to take a back seat, hey, yo, just, go join a team with Bradley Beal. It is what it is. But yeah, he still led the league in field goal attempts the year that Westbrook was there. So, he's still fine. And Westbrook led the league in assists as well too. So, again, there was an adjustment-ish that could be made. I guess, obviously the field goal percentages were definitely starting to take a little bit of a turn there as well, too. 8 for 19 from the field. Hey, yo, shout out. Again, Westbrook, we love him. Hey, yo. But, again, he played with what? Beal in the post Durant run. Paul George was really, really great that season there as well too. And I guess the problem was that Jazz series as well too. Like they probably should have advanced a little bit farther in the playoffs, but do we blame it on Paul? We blame it on Paul George, Chad. It is what it is. Was that 17-18? That might have been here. No, it is what it is. I mean, Mitchell though, has been a really productive playoff scorer for his entire career. Like you can't look back at that and be like, that's like the most shocking playoff upset of all time. Like maybe. And, again, Gobert's overall career value over the last couple of years, again, has gone up as well, too. Like, a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert, Hall of Famer in his own right. You got Donovan Mitchell averaging 28 a game in this series. Westbrook in this series, 29, 12, and 7. Just a casual 39.8% from the field. That's all. And Paul George, 40%. And then Carmelo, 37%, chat. Hey, yo. Shout out to Steven Adams, Jeremy Grant, Corey Brewer. They're trying out there. All of them were over 50%. That's a definitely a tough trio there to have them all right under 40% from the field. That is for sure. Can we do some math here real quick? We got 161, 120, and 72. And then we've got 64, 49, and 27. So we've got a field goal percentage for the top three guys of 39.6% in this playoff series. So I think that we can safely say that this is a collective failure here for the Thunder. Again, this is not just on Westbrook. This is a little bit of a team disaster. Who was the coach? Billy Donovan. I think did he get canned right after this? He might have. Was this Scotty Brooks still around? I don't think so, but Again, it was total system failure, unfortunately, for OKC in this playoffs. They won the first game, and then they won game 5. But, yeah, otherwise, looks like Utah, kind of comfortably. I guess at Westbrook, 46 in game 6. So, at least the last effort there was doing his best. 46 points on 43 field goal attempts. Hey, chat, you love to see it. Are we even going to have another Westbrook in the league? Hot take, are players too efficient these days? What happened to the good old stat lines of players putting up 40 points on 40 shots? Hey, who would be the most equivalent for that right now? I'm trying to think. Even Luka doesn't take like 40 shots in a game. Hey, obviously Jokic is not like a heavy volume, scorer. Giannis is not going to be like taking threes and stuff like that. So he could maybe take 25 field goals in a game. Again, Shea's not going to take 30 baskets in a game. So Doncic right now leads the league. He led the league last year, 22.8 field goal attempts a game. Again, quite a bit. Make no mistake. But did he ever have a 40 field goal attempt game? And I'm thinking obviously again of Kobe in that last game. And I guess there are some other Kobe games where, the field goal attempts are a little bit equal there to the points. But, again, Jaylen Brown's not going to get quite that high up there. Like, I guess you do maybe have the balancing effect of that teammate to kind of, take away some of the shot attempts in some ways. Like, I guess Maxey, with Embiid and stuff, like, could Maxey have a game where he takes 40 attempts? Again, Edwards, Mitchell, Brunson. I was thinking Cade. Maybe Cade could have a game where he's like 42 points on 38 field goal attempts. Maybe LaMelo, honestly. Again, I don't know if LaMelo now in Minnesota, it would have to be a game where Anthony Edwards is out for some reason. I don't know. Obviously maybe, what kind of trouble could we, joke about there? But, again, maybe some just random night that Edwards has to sit out. LaMelo just takes 35 plus field goal attempts. Cooper Flag in Dallas, maybe he did have a game this past year. He could be the one. Because, again, they were definitely, very injured up there at the time. But, again, I don't see his game. Well, I guess I can't necessarily say that's not true. Cooper Flag is the next Russell Westbrook. Hey, I don't know if that's the comp we're making, but let's see what his game-high field goal attempts were this past year. Yeah, he did get to 30 exactly. I guess I don't know if this is the same game, 20 for 30. But the most shots he took in a game was 30. So, again, has the 40 field goal attempt club. I guess maybe we'll have to do some more research on that. But again, I can't really see a name that would jump out as like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen right there. Again, the 2000s, you just be like, oh yeah, I guess he scored, or maybe the 35 for 35 or something like that. The 30 for 30 club, 30 points, 30 field goal attempts. I don't know. Bub Carrington. Maybe they let Bub Carrington cook for a game. I don't know. That's the problem, chat. They just need to let him cook. But, we're not going to have a Westbrook-style player that just has a crazy amount of field goal attempts, doesn't seem that efficient, but somehow if you watch the game, you go back and watch, and you're like, actually, somehow he played well. I don't know how he made 42% of his field goal attempts and played well, but it happened. He did it. And, it's a lost era. It's a lost art. But, again, this Wizards team, hey, they lost to Philly. Was this 2021? So was this the Ben Simmons year? Maybe the year they lost to Atlanta? It was. So this Philly team could have won the title this year. Again, I guess could you say that if they lost to Atlanta in the divisional round? But this is as good as the Embiid era, I guess, has been, especially without Jimmy Butler there as well, too. But there's no shame in that. This is not like a, tragic, playoff upset type of situation. Again, like, the stain on Westbrook's legacy of what could have been for this playoff run. Like maybe it's a little fortunate that the Eastern Conference, they were able to get into the playoffs winning 34 games. But, again, still, it was an impressive season. Finished 11th in MVP voting that year. Hey, so just one last MVP run for him. And then he even got some 6 Man of the Year votes as well, too. Like, the Denver run was pretty successful. Like, again, this Denver team, not the most successful, but I think his role in Denver was a little bit better than maybe we thought. Again, the 7th best bench player in the league. 24, 25. What was the order here for 6th man of the year voting in the ballot? I guess the winner doesn't. Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard, Malik Beasley. Rest in peace, Malik Beasley's career. Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Westbrook. And then Caruso. And again, all these guys 2 years ago, like all of the guys, besides Westbrook. No, that's not what we're saying. But all the guys are like peak of their powers, sort of impact role guys as well. Like Beasley and Jerome maybe were definitely having really good, offensive seasons that year. And to be honest, I don't really know how DeAndre Hunter got 4th in 6th player of the year voting. I'm sure he had a good year this year, but did he get traded was it when he got traded to the Cavs? Is that what happened? Traded from Atlanta to the Cavs? I guess he was on the bench in Atlanta at 19 a game, 39. So yeah, he started the season pretty strong, I guess, and was still 85 and 42. Yeah, it was still pretty good in Cleveland. So you do have to give him credit. 47, 40, and 16. Okay, DeAndre Hunter season going a little underrated. What happened, chat? And then just dropped down the next year to 41 and 30. And now, 41 and 30. So, maybe is DeAndre Hunter like a, mini, not resurgence, but could he go back to baseline next year and be, mid 30% from 3? I guess we'll have to watch that. But, again, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has become, and this is not to say, Westbrook could have become a great player. Obviously, this is him at the end of the career. But the point is, he was still in the mix at 36 as a guy that's like, could he be an impactful role player as title guy as well too? And I mean, again, we know he could have as well, just depending on kind of, the teammate alignment and all that stuff, how it would have worked out. Obviously, Jokic is a great, malleable player to play around, playing with LeBron in LA again, obviously, that did not work out, but again, for as what you would say, again, to use the same word again, malleable, for as versatile, I guess, there you go, for as versatile as LeBron is, and for as you could think of the idea of just putting anybody, on the team with LeBron and it would work, to some degree that is true, but also, again, he is there is a sneaky particular type of player works better with LeBron argument. I mean, I guess that's going to be with any player. There's going to be best versions of the team to have around him. But, again, hot take, the LeBron and Westbrook, personality, play styles, whatever it was, they just weren't aligned in there in LA. And I don't think that that's necessarily, shocking to think about. I don't think that, they would be maybe two guys that we'd pair up, at the peak of their powers as well, too. Ideally, I guess, again, if it's the Olympics and, if it's Team USA and we all have to get on the same page that way, I guess maybe they can get it work. From an NBA standpoint, I don't know if, it becomes a little different that way. But, again, I guess the point is, like we're saying, just to celebrate how, great Westbrook's career was here now that the retirement has been official. So we did want to go to the game logs here real quick. I guess, game high. They do have the game score game highs here as well. So we've got 16-17. If I'm not mistaken, is the best game the one that we have on in the background right now? Let's see if it is. Is this the defining Westbrook game of his career? It might be. April 9th, 2017, OKC versus Denver. So this is the game that we have going on in the background right now. It's actually in the fourth quarter as we speak. 8 minutes left. OKC down 10. Hey, maybe honestly the perfect time to pick up because this was, of course, the season after Durant left. And, I guess I'm trying to think, is there another Westbrook moment that maybe that playoff moment that I mentioned earlier is the only other, not the only other one, but maybe another strong candidate for top Westbrook moment to recall. But again, what this meant for, for what this season was, it's easy to say this game was proof that Westbrook's season was worth it. But, again, like we're saying, there was just that narrative all season of that Westbrook style of play is just like, that quote-unquote not impactful style of play. You can't win with Westbrook as your best player with the way that he, is just trying to do everything on the court. And again, maybe it's a more unorthodox do everything in the way that maybe like James Harden or Luka Doncic are a little more, basketball controlled in some sense with the way that they're, navigating the offense. But, again, I guess the end result is still going to be the same. Don't show the homework, but Westbrook's still going to get the same result that, James Harden and Luka Doncic are going to get. But, again, he was just going out there just doing everything and just kind of single-handedly powering the team back as well, too. And there are all kinds of clips, like, for him getting rebounds and stuff where you do see, again, if you go to the teammate aspect of it, where he would be chasing rebounds down and then throw it back out to somebody else and then chase the offensive rebound back down again and throw it back to somebody else. And, again, it's not just him being that, selfish ball hog Westbrook type player. Again, I don't even know if he's known like that now as well, too. I think that was just, social media hyperbole back in the day, the Twitter sphere, just, we needed community notes back on Westbrook's career back in the day where it's like Westbrook's a ball hog and it's like actually Russell Westbrook leads the league in assists. He's not a hog. Again, like that's not always the perfect correlation. Like is Trae Young, the most fun player to play with in the league and he leads the league in assists quite often. Again, maybe that's always just to the center, but still, again, he leads the league in assists quite often. Like it's not always the 1-to-1 correlation, but in Westbrook's case, it's at least like a 9.2 to a 1 type of correlation. It's pretty, or I guess a 0.92 to a 1, I guess is what I meant to say. A 92% to a 100. Like, it's a pretty close correlation. Like, I don't think the Westbrook is not a fun guy to play with. Because again, he's just going to be such a caring player. And, on the court. Like, obviously, maybe that boils over a little too much at some point. But, he's going to be, hopefully passionate on defense there when he locks in. And, again, the rebounding energy is going to be there throughout the game as well, too. And there is going to be every now and then, at the right time, hopefully that baseline cut that you need to make as well, too. But, again, like we're saying, this game for me was the first game that I thought of when I was thinking back of Westbrook's career, just because of the fact that I was like, man, he really can do everything and it can work as well. And, Oladipo, 3 for 15 for 8 points. Obviously, Oladipo gets traded to Indiana and that really works out for Indiana. And maybe we go back and double check like some injury stuff. Was Oladipo working and recovering off of injury? And, again, that there is some, I guess, basketball fit there as well, too. Oladipo, turns out he needed his own team, but we didn't really know that at the time. Like, let's be honest. And yeah, again, obviously there is the unfortunate side of Oladipo's injury or Oladipo's career that he does have the injury. So then when you look back at his box score, you don't necessarily think like, oh, Westbrook was holding back Oladipo's career, because again, it was unfortunately, a short run of having the stats at an all-NBA level for him. If Oladipo goes on to have, 8 all-star appearances and 3 all-NBAs, then we're like, oh man, what does it look like if he's, playing next to Westbrook? Then there is just a different sort of teammate comparison there as well, too. But, again, like he wasn't necessarily playing that well in an off-ball role in OKC. And that's not a criticism to Westbrook. You need, again, Paul George is a better off-ball player than Victor Oladipo. Is Paul George a better on-ball player than Victor Oladipo at the best? You can make the argument that he is as well, too. Like, I would say probably all-time Paul George is a little better player than Victor Oladipo, though. Again, Oladipo had a great year this year. 23 points a game and 2.4 steals. Like, he was, really balling. The playoffs as well, they were only one series that year, but, it was still 22 and the 2.4 steals, I guess. Again, as well, 40% from 3, across the board there too. And again, 47% from the field in the regular season. So just, almost Ray Allen-esque box scores with, the steals added on there that one year. But, again, maybe not the consistent 3-point shooter, obviously, that Allen was. But, again, for, the narratives of Westbrook as a teammate, like, again, at the time, it's not like Oladipo was playing at this level. And, playing in that role obviously was not the best situation there for him. And the Sabonis thing as well, too. Like, they were like, we have to have value in the trade. Not to be too criticism of what Oladipo's career was like at that point. But, again, there's no all-stars. Maybe it's a little kind of maybe like Hachimura-esque. It'd be like if Hachimura just got traded somewhere, or if Hachimura this year on the Lakers was just the 13th in MVP voting, and you're like, wait a second, Hachimura could just score 25 a game and like carry a team by himself. I guess he can. Like that is a little what it is. Hachimura's been around a little bit longer now as well too. Like I don't know, the rookie contract guy that's been, 16, 17 points a game and then just excels after that as well. Again, 36, 42 and 36% is not like tragic, but if it's your second best, third best player, like you're probably not going to be, again, a, divisional round team that year. If those are the, the overall numbers, I guess maybe DiVincenzo maybe is a little, maybe a little step down from where Oladipo was at this point. I guess it was honestly like when a little bit like when Bridges went to Brooklyn. And Bridges, like when Bridges went to Brooklyn, you wouldn't have said like, oh, Devin Booker was holding Bridges back. Again, he was obviously a much more, I think, productive third player than Oladipo was when Bridges was in Brooklyn. And I guess, Bridges has now won a title as like a third player. So, we can't say he's not a productive third player, but it was a little like that where you're just like, oh, we didn't see this rise, happening from that player. Like, hey, hot take, that does happen sometimes in the NBA. There is a player that excels, that quote unquote out of nowhere. And that was Oladipo that year. And unfortunately, again, it was, post trade. And it was also that, Westbrook's going to hold guys back type of narrative. And it's like, well, I don't know, watch the games. Like Oladipo's not, knocking down shots here all the time. Like, again, like we said, like, I guess, compare Oladipo to Steve Nash. I don't know if that's a fair comparison. But, there are guys that it's like, okay, if he's if he's running the offense and he is the one that is in charge, like maybe that is a better version of his game. Like maybe again, the best version of Oladipo is he has his own team. But there are also, again, the players that can still be the number 2 guy. And you would also say, should Westbrook, but that's it. Westbrook probably shouldn't have been the number 2 to Oladipo. Even at Oladipo's best, I guess that would be the hot take to be like, Oladipo as the best should have led the team, and then Westbrook as the number 2 would have been the perfect role there. But it's like, no, I don't think so. Again, Paul George, like he did have those great playoff battles of, and the Pacers had those great playoff battles of going toe to toe with LeBron in Miami and, those series being really competitive. But, again, it's not like we have, crazy playoff evidence time and time again of, you're going to be a championship level team. If Paul George is your best player, like you're going to be a really, really good team and really, really competitive. And Paul George is a great player as well too. But to say that, again, like Westbrook is the reason that Paul George didn't win an OKC or all this stuff, again, just to assign, the blame for Westbrook. And again, I'm going back and talking about maybe what was happening in the moment as well too. Because I don't think Thunder fans look back at these, at Westbrook in 2016, 17 and go, oh, Westbrook cost us the season. And I don't think they look back at, again, that Jazz season and go, Westbrook is the sole reason why we didn't advance, in the playoffs against the Jazz as well too. Like, they probably just blame Paul George because they end up, and again, they don't blame anybody because they just traded Paul George for Shea and just won a title the next couple of years. So I don't know if Thunder, and maybe that is probably a big reason, maybe why maybe you could look back at the Thunder years with a little more fondness because there is that title there for Thunder fans, and you don't have to feel, I guess, quote unquote bad for them or whatever. It's like, the poor, unlucky Thunder franchise. They just have all this playoff shortcomings and all this stuff. It's like, well, I guess you can't say that anymore. Yeah, they did win a title, but for like we're saying for Westbrook, hey, I mean, we were defending this for Barkley as well too, and again, not a hot take defense to say that, Charles Barkley, championship level player, but it's like we just gotta, somebody has to say it because I guess maybe I'll be back in on, listening to NBA pods this week to see what they're saying about Westbrook as well. It's like, I just want to hope that he's, the memorialization in the right way is happening. Do I look up Stephen A on Russell Westbrook? Hey, I don't even know, who do we even watch at this point? Hey, but I guess we'll do a survey and see what the survey says there on the Westbrook career. Okay, I mean, immediately I just, this video on YouTube, Westbrook Hall of Fame lock, ? I guess, angle somewhere, but I think that's pretty safe to say that a player on the top 75 list would probably be in the Hall of Fame, would be my guess. I guess we could go back and scroll the list just to double check. Would there be somebody that wouldn't get in the Hall of Fame? I guess, you could take a vote, or not a vote, like a bet or something. Like if Westbrook we got the Westbrook was in cahoots with Poly Market and they were messing things up, or the mob or whatever. Then yes, I guess maybe there would be some Hall of Fame candidacy there. But the play on the court, at this point, Westbrook, yes, I think he's pretty much a Hall of Fame. League MVP, I guess there are some like Derrick Rose or whatever. If the career maybe unfortunately got cut short or something. Who's to say? But again, for the most part, league MVP, a decade worth of All Stars. Hey, 9 All Stars, 2 scoring champs. Oh, Chad. Hey, just and 9 All NBAs as well too. I mean, who's in the 10-time? Hey, 9. I guess we can go 9-time All NBA club. Let's see if we can. Let's see. Is it more than 15 players? With an elite group has achieved 9 All NBA selections, including prominent stars like Russell Westbrook. Hey, other greats. Oh, can we get a list? Hey, let's see. Oh, LeBron James 21 times. Okay, we do have maybe most selections. Here we go. Total 21. How many guys? Oh, we do have quite a few, I guess, with 10. So he just missed the 10 or more. Hey, LeBron, but again, I say quite a few, but it's not that many. We're maybe looking at 25 people here. LeBron, Kobe, Kareem, Duncan. I guess I'm just reading in order of the appearances here. It's not like ranked, but LeBron, Kobe, Kareem, Duncan, Malone, Shaq, Kuzi, West, Durant, Dolph, Shea, Hakeem, Dirk, MJ, Pettit, Oscar, Charles, Havlicek, Steph, Chris Paul, Bill Russell, John Stockton, Elgin Baylor, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, and David Robinson as well. So, again, this leaves off the 9-time club. Hey, I'm sure that there's some other. Oh, okay. I guess we could scroll through here and see. We do have Giannis in the 9-time club. Okay, so there's one that would be, again, everybody else over 10 would be mentioned. And there would be other players that are obviously, headed that way. Is Tatum going to be? Well, I guess, Tatum, the injury and stuff, we'll see. But, Tatum be in the 9-time club. Would Shea be in the 9-time club? Would, Jokic? I guess Jokic will be. He's on the 8-time club this year. So we're not going to jinx him and lock it in, but we'll just take a precautionary inclusion there for Jokic. So we've got, of course, Giannis and Jokic, both, really, really close. At this point, again, you would assume Luka at some point, would, maybe get to the 9-time club. Again, you have the 3rd-team All NBA selections there as well too, so a couple of those. But maybe there's a 6, 7, 8. Who's to say? See, like Lillard's at 7 right now. Is Lillard going to make 2 more All NBAs? Like that probably would seem a little unlikely. Again, even 1 more at this point. Curry is at 8. I guess it's Curry. Curry was on this list, right? Curry's at 11. So he is chilling, and I guess we're going back in time now a little bit. But we will, I guess, hit retired players too at some point here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, again, Jimmy Butler's at 4 right now, 4 or 5. So is he gonna make any more? And I guess the last one that he made at this point was for Westbrook was 1920 as well too. So it's been a minute since he was, at that specific level there. Anthony Davis, again, will he get to the 9-time club? So it really is just, again, the multi-time MVPs. 2 of the guys right now that you would kind of say that, have made their way into that really, really elite tier of players. Maybe they're in the conversation for top 30 players of all time now. Giannis and Jokic. And, again, Westbrook is the only other player here that's in the 9-time All NBA club, at least for this century. Oh, Dwight Howard. Okay, sorry, we're doing some live research here. So if that, if it takes us a quick second to navigate through all these names, then our apologies. We got, see, Dwight Howard's at 8 All-Stars. Yeah, 8 All-NBAs as well too. So, again, shout out, Dwight Howard's a great player. We'll take a pro Dwight Howard, basketball talent stance here on the pod, when maybe sometimes, again, his game is another one. It might not always be like, hey, let's just remember Dwight Howard's game, as the most fond. But it's like, no, Dwight Howard at the peak of the powers was actually a pretty good basketball player there. Again, they're obviously maybe the fall off, hey, shout out J. Cole. Maybe the fall off was a little bit, more steep for our guy Dwight Howard than it was for Russ. But still, hey, I don't know why this is a disaster trying to pull up. See if we can just find like a list of All NBA situations here. Awards, Hall of Fame, All Rookie, All NBA. Okay, I know we can find the teams, but we just need the list of players with the most selections. So I guess that's probably not going to happen here as well, too. Okay, I was just checking the Basketball Reference to see if there was another version as well, but I guess we can keep scrolling here real quick. It's not going to take us like crazy long because again, there's not like a name. I guess it would have to be way back in the way back in time. There's not a name from the 90s or something I would think would have gotten left out. Maybe Hakeem. Did we say Hakeem as well? But yeah, again, Kobe. Wade at 6. We can just double check Wade just to get a number. But again, I don't think Wade was on all NBA teams for a decade. No disrespect to Dwayne Wade. And I probably got to watch my tone while I'm saying it like that, because he was a 13-time All-Star, and he was 8-time All-NBA, so he's pretty close. Hey, yo, so Dwight Howard, and again, Dwayne Wade. Hey, yo, who, again, has a title, so there are some, some comparisons there, the Finals MVP to Russ. Like we're saying, I don't know if we could rank Russ over Wade, but if you're just saying who would you rather have on your team, I don't know, that's a tough one, Chad. That is a tough one. They're both pretty similar because they don't have the three-point jumper in there, so, the mid-range game is a little different. Obviously, Wade, is great at getting to the basket as well, too. Just nobody is, attacking the basket as explosively as Russell Westbrook is at his best. And again, always probably a little bit better of a playmaker than Wade as well, too. Though Wade maybe a little better defender than Westbrook there. Though, again, a Dwight Howard, Dwayne Wade tier of players is really interesting, names to have there. Dirk. I guess maybe we mentioned Dirk was probably in the 10-time club there as well, too. KG, I think maybe we already mentioned. We have to remember all the names that were in that list before as well. Maybe we start from the other way. Pause. Other end. Hey, yo. And see who we have there. That maybe I think Pettit we already mentioned as well. Oscar, we definitely mentioned. Russell, of course. Wilt, of course. Hal Greer. It looks like maybe we have 7 All-NBAs for our guy Hal Greer as well. We did mention Jerry West, so shout out. Definitely get up there. Havlicek. Looks like I see a 7 appearance here for Havlicek. Oh, there's a 9th for Havlicek there. Okay, so maybe Havlicek does get to 10. Oh, okay, Havlicek does. As well, too. 4 for Spencer Haywood. Hey, Walt Frazier was 6. Okay, Rick Barry was 6. I think Barry might have gotten up there, though. As well, okay, we're seeing the 2s. Elvin Hayes with 6. Hey, yo. I feel like we could just do this research, chat. Let's just see real quick. Let's see. Name every NBA player to make 9 or more All-NBAs. And let's see if we can get this list going. Because, again, I don't know if Westbrook is going to get known as, like, a top 50 player of all time or something like that. Maybe he's a little higher up the rankings, what do I say, notoriously or consensusly than I'm thinking. But, again, I think there are obviously some, great angles to look at their career at, and, obviously really celebrate the game that he did have here as well, too. So, then again, not to say that this version of the list is going to be accurate, but just chat, hey, yo, apparently this research is impossible. Name every NBA player to make 9 or more All-NBA teams. Okay, we'll give it one more try and see. Hey, yo, chat, what's going on here? You think they're telling us it's? I guess it depends. Do I have to get the AI that is like a automated robot weapon at this point that's behind a paywall? The Gemini, you can't even tell me if it makes 9 All-NBA teams, and I can see a video of like this AI military robot that's just like blasting other AI robot heads off, and it's just like, oh, I don't even know what other NBA. It's like, oh, I don't know what NBA teams made All-NBA, 9 or more. It's like they're just trying to fool us and make sure they think it's, we think it's still stupid. Hey, yo, it's like, come on, we know you're not. Just tell me who's made 9 All-NBA teams. Hey, yo. You don't have access to this data? I guess not. See, we still need the human touch of research. Pause. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Oh, Dr. J? Was Dr. J on the list? Hey, yo. Because he did have the ABA run as well, too. So we may have to do like a, what do you say, like a asterisk inclusion for Dr. J on the All NBA list there as well. I forgot who else we maybe mentioned besides Giannis and Jokic, but maybe just Dr. J was the only other one as well. There's Barkley with 8. Barkley did break into the 10-time club here as well too. Hakeem did. I do remember that. So hey yo. Oh, Scottie Pippen with 7. Okay, see, Scottie Pippen is an interesting one. See, Westbrook, I mean, hey, I guess you can't say that Westbrook and Durant would have been Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan because they could have been winning the titles before, they left. Hey, yo, but, again, would Scottie Pippen go down as an all-time better player in NBA history? And I guess you could maybe make the case, again, defensively, he's so menacing that is Scottie Pippen's defense better than Westbrook's offense? Probably. So Scottie Pippen's, he probably has the best single side of a game between those two players, if that makes sense. The 4 quadrants of the game. Scottie Pippen's offense, Scottie Pippen's defense, Russell Westbrook's offense, Russell Westbrook's defense. Scottie Pippen's defense is probably the best of those 4 things. But, either way, again, the impact could be getting pretty similar there in the right situation. And again, maybe he is a slightly better complementary type of player as well, too, than Westbrook. But we're talking about one of the greatest, number 2 duo guys of all time. Our guy David Robinson as well, too. It looks like he was on 8 All-NBAs on 97-98. Did he sneak on to one more there and make a 9th or a 10th? He may have been short. Hey, yo. So, David Robinson versus Russell Westbrook. Again, would you say that Westbrook is... Hey, yo, and he just hit the buzzer beater, chat. The crowd doesn't go crazy because he hit this buzzer beater that we're talking about in Denver. But, the team goes crazy. The announcer made a great call in the moment as well, too. You do have to give him credit there. But hey, wait, we're looking up David Robinson. I guess we could do some official research while we're at the restaurant tomorrow. Just sit around and look up all NBA guys. Okay, he did make 10. And I guess we could have scrolled down and see as well too. Shaq did make the list also. So really, yeah, I guess here, let's double check Dr. J as well. So really, we do have Jokic and Giannis as the 2 guys right now with the 9 All-NBAs. And I guess you would maybe assume that Giannis is going to make a 10th All-NBA, but, is it a guarantee this year? I guess that would be an early summer hot take. It's not a guarantee just to even say it's not a guarantee. Again, I love Giannis. So maybe maybe that type of, maybe the fact that I want him to continue to be that good of a player is making me nervous that, again, that might be, those expectations are, how many years can we have those expectations for Giannis? Again, not for him to not be good, but just for him to be this just dominant, AO player that he is right now. And I guess, again, we're talking, he could still be the 3rd team All-NBA range type of player. But let's see here. Dr. J, how many All-NBAs are we looking at for? So, yeah, 7 All-NBAs for Dr. J. But again, that's going to start in the what season? The 77-78 season. So he had 3 MVPs under his belt before he won an All-NBA. So you would technically, I guess if we give him an All-NBA for those 3 MVP seasons, he would be sitting at the 10 All-NBAs. So again, obviously Dr. J in a little bit of a different category because of like we're saying, because of the merger. I guess they do also have the Book of Basketball player ranking here as well too. Westbrook wouldn't even have had his career going at that point because I think that list was dropped in 2009. But at least, again, the retired players on the list would, still have their spot. The legendary players would still have their spot on the list at this point. We can get an idea of maybe, again, where Westbrook could potentially be sitting at in this type of conversation here. So I guess right now on the Book of Basketball, Wade was 28th in 2009 or 2010. I guess, again, you've got Steph Curry, Giannis, Jokic, Durant, LeBron's even up higher at this point. Where's LeBron? LeBron's 20th on this list. So I guess, he doesn't affect Wade's spot specifically. He's still for the most part, these top 20 guys did the same with the LeBron ranking affected. But again, there are other guys that would be, and I guess, Shea now as well, too. 2-time MVP. We got to throw his name in there. Wemby's a top 50 player of all time now already. No, we got to wait a second. But, again, you have your, Dennis Johnson tier of guys. Again, made an impact on teams that did win a title and maybe a little bit more talented rosters as well, too. Dominique is an interesting one. Dominique versus Russell Westbrook. Hey, yo, Chad, that's a versus right there. Two of the best in-game dunkers of all time. Clyde Drexler at 44? Is Clyde Drexler that much better than Dominique Wilkins? Hey, yo, Bill Simmons, call in. Clyde versus Dominique. That sounds personal. That sounds like maybe the Celtics had a little bit of a rivalry there with the Hawks and maybe less with the Blazers. And maybe Dominique gets bumped down the list a little bit because of that. Nothing against Clyde Drexler, but he is one of those players that, again, just doesn't have... He is we'll call him a Tim Duncan all-star. Clyde Drexler is a Tim Duncan all-star. You don't necessarily have, vivid memories of Clyde Drexler's game. Obviously, Dominique, one of the most, crazy players of all time. And, maybe a little underrated as well, too. I don't know. Obviously he had some crazy playoff scoring moments. So, hey, we got to go back and watch the Dominique Wilkins highlights, I guess, and see what's going on there. But that would be a fun, versus potential as well. Dwight Howard in 2010 was already the 78th best player of all time in NBA history. We've really added some players to the list, I think, at this point. It is what it is. Maybe the 50s through the 70s has also bulked up. I guess it has, though. Again, that would be like the Anthony Davis, Dame Lillard. But Anthony Davis is another one, honestly. Like Russell Westbrook versus Anthony Davis's career, I honestly don't know. Because Davis is just again, one of those just prototype physical skill set guys. Pause. Just as a center built like Anthony Davis, there's not very many players in NBA history that you wouldn't just, start with that baseline of skill sets that Anthony Davis has. That's just such a, it's just such a great thing to start with from an NBA standpoint. But also, he's just a great talented player on top of that. But actually what the careers produced, again, Anthony Davis did win a title with LeBron James. Would Westbrook at that point in his career that Davis was, not the same year specifically, but whatever the equivalent point in his career was, would he have won a title with LeBron James? Could Westbrook been Kyrie in 2016? I guess is basically the point. It's interesting to think about. It would not have been the same. I cannot sit here and say that it would have been the same. Absolutely, that's not true. Again, just a totally different dynamic of player. But could they have not still won the title? I guess, again, you go down to the very last moment of literally, Kyrie having to hit a step back three over Steph Curry. Could Westbrook have done that exact thing? Obviously, Kyrie's just better at that perimeter offense than Westbrook is. But, maybe there's a couple of different circumstances of plays that get played out there, and, it turns out differently. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that he couldn't have been Kyrie in 2016. Again, especially at that point in his career as well, too, was pretty crazy. The Ray Allen, Reggie Miller tier of guys is really interesting because, again, Allen also was a role player on some very, very impactful teams. Reggie Miller maybe had a little bit more playoff success as a lead guy than Russell Westbrook. He may be one of the underrated guys there, like a little Jimmy Butler-esque in that way. And again, Jimmy Butler's another one. Jimmy Butler's made 2 finals. Has Jimmy Butler had a better, I guess you could say Jimmy Butler has had a better playoff career than Russell Westbrook, but he hasn't had a better regular season career than Russell Westbrook. So what does that mean in the playoff rankings or the player rankings? Hey, yo. So Russell Westbrook retired. We're officially going to have to do we never were going to do an all-time player ranking until until Russell Westbrook retired. And we're like, where's this guy going to be on the list? Hey, yo. I have to figure it out. But I kind of have to figure it out, Chad. Which, I guess I don't know if he's the most confusing player in NBA history, but he could definitely be on the list. We were just talking about this with Drew Brees with his Hall of Fame announcement in the NFL, and the fact that I was saying that, in my opinion, he's one of the more volatile top QB ranking players where you could just, really move around wherever you want to rank him. Do you rank him as the 6th best quarterback of all time because he had 5,000 yards every year? Or do you rank him below some of the legendary guys like Unitas and, Y.A. Tittle and Otto Graham because you want to make room at some point for some of the legends that played the game and you value that more than Brees' numbers? Again, you could have the same thing with Westbrook as well, too. Are you going to rank Westbrook as, again, the 38th best player of all time because he just had triple doubles every year and put up great numbers and, was, again, an awesome player? or are you gonna rank him the 90th best player of all? I guess maybe he wouldn't be that low, but I guess who's 90 starts? What do we got? Mike Miller tier down here. Hey yo, no, we got Sean Kemp. Hey yo, okay, we got good players. Vince Carter. Okay, yeah, hot take. Still really great. But again, would he be again the 75th best player of all time? Because again, maybe they didn't have the sustained playoff runs every year with him. After Durant left in the consistent way. But I like we're saying, we would lean more favorably as well too. Honestly, we'd kick Nate Thurman up the rankings. Jason Kidd, hey yo, Chet. I don't know. Get Simmons calling in here. What's going on with these player rankings? Hey yo, how's Jason Kidd under Steve Nash? What's going on there? How's Pat Ewing? I guess you got Dirk over Pat Ewing. I guess, and Dirk didn't win the title yet, so Dirk below Iverson, Dirk below Mikan. Hey yo, we got Robinson below Wade. Tough argument there. Robinson over Willis Reed, though. Honestly, we'll take that from an all-time ranking standpoint. Shout out to Willis Reed, great player. Tim Duncan at 7. Get him up the list a little bit. Obviously, he won a title in 14, so now he's past Larry Bird. Hey yo, but at least past Wilt, maybe, kinda, hopefully. Hey yo, we'll have to see. But Westbrook could slot right in here in the top 50 pretty easily. Paul Pierce, Westbrook versus Paul Pierce. Again, really interesting. But maybe I'm over evaluating some of the individual high moments as well too. Again, the day-to-day does matter a little bit. But again, obviously, like we're saying, Westbrook, he's gonna be the the casino of movies, the Martin Scorsese movie. It's like, okay, it's not quite Goodfellas, but you can watch it as many times and it's still pretty, it's still almost as good. And the more, I don't know if that's a good comparison. That's just for some reason the one I went to first. But to go back to the movie comparison, like we're saying, the more time that you spend away with it, the more classic I think his career is going to get. And I guess that could go to a bigger point as well too, of the highlightification of it all. Again, like we're saying, we have Simmons' list pulled up here. He has had the running bit in the past about, the NBA will post a clip about a guy like, this guy is a problem. The guy that loves NBA history and wants the league to promote NBA history also, hates it when the league posts highlights about their players and puts a fun caption on it. But, they'll put and the one that he's always made fun of, I guess, is, white chocolate, Jason Williams. It's like, oh, Jason Williams is a problem. And it's like, Jason Williams was a problem. Ayo, again, was he as big of a problem as, LeBron? Ayo, probably not, but he wasn't not a problem. Ayo, it's still good. But, again, the highlightification of it all, like Russell Westbrook, again, his career is going to benefit from the highlightification. But again, it's not even just that, like I'm saying, it's the memory of watching Russell Westbrook play more than the highlights. It's the care, the passion that he did have. It's like, rest in peace to Bourdain. It's like watching Bourdain talk about cooking or something like that. Where it's just like, again, are there, not say that there would be more talented chefs than Bourdain. I guess, maybe, have your chef debate there. Chef rankings, 2027 chef power rankings. I guess not power rankings, but, all-time chef legacy rankings, 2027. I guess we'll have to update that list. I don't know. Who's the number one chef of all time? I was trying to think of a historical chef, but I couldn't pull like an all-time historical chef. There, for some reason, there isn't like a big name in history that's like, oh, this guy, cooked for an army and fed the army and, they won the war. There's not like a legend or something like that. I'm trying to think, it's history, so it's all going to be war stories. But, we trade in war stories. But, recipes Tupac. But, what do you say? Again, maybe there would be some other, chef story or something. There's no like legend of like, again, the legend of the cake might be a different story. But, there's no like legend of the sourdough. It's like, oh, this was the best sourdough ever from 1892 or something like that. Again, it's just like, when do chefs start to exist in popular culture? I'm trying to think, or even like chefs that invented food. Again, like who's the chef that I'm trying to, because they put like the story of Nestle Toll. Do they put like the story of Nestle Toll House on the back of the chocolate chip cookie packaging? So I'm sure, but they don't even put the inventor on there. So maybe that's, maybe look into that. That could be, a whole separate issue. As to why, names are being covered up there and credits not being properly given. It's probably racist. But, again, even giving us fake credit. They're not even, stealing the name of the chocolate chip cookie inventor, and giving fake credit to somebody else. Like, it's just you don't even know who it is. You don't know anything about, we know who invents everything else except for food for some reason. Why is that, chat? Why don't we know anybody who invents food? Again, it has to be racist. That's the only other answer. Because, again, every other invention that, some white guy figures out, you're like, oh, the light bulb. Hey, yo, like, let's celebrate the light bulb. It's like, yeah, the light bulb's cool. But we have been eating for longer. Pause. Hey, yo, we have been, making food for longer than we have been looking at lights. So, and if we did have to do a power rankings, like, I'm not going to try to jinx anything, but it is an honest truth. Like, if we did have to do a power ranking, you would, I mean, I don't even think this is a hot take. I don't even think this is a hot take, but I think in the power rankings, you would have to rank food over light bulbs. It is what it is. I'm not saying food over light, but I'm just saying, again, maybe you would in a scientific way. I don't know if you had to, cut it down to one. I guess, you would probably take, you'd probably take a dark room and a meal versus a sunlight and no meal, I guess, but you're implying that you can't, like, find food in the sun. Again, these, random hypothetical scenarios, but either way, like we're saying for, I guess, and, we got to tread lightly how we, say that as well, too, again, obviously, but, again, for, what are we saying for, we're getting lost in the weeds here, chat, but you don't know the inventors of food, I guess is the point that I'm throwing out there as well, too. So, and again, maybe some of this stuff gets just tracked so far back as well, but even some of the modern stuff, I don't know. Like, who invented, like, Baja Blast? Hey, yo, like, Baja Blast hasn't been around. Has Baja Blast been around for 20 years? I guess 2006. Maybe it was out in the 90s. I don't know. Again, I wasn't out in the 90s, so I can't speak from experience. But Baja Blast, year invented. Hey, yo, when did somebody invent Baja Blast? Let's see. Oh, yeah, 2004. So, again, we, or within the past 20 years, like, it's pretty recently. Like, it would have been a news, like, there's no, like, 60-minute piece on the guy that did Baja Blast or something like this. We just have no name whatsoever. So, I don't know, chat. We need to have, hey, yo, this will be the new mission of the Rem and Sam pod. Or we need to DM food news over at the Ringer and be like, hey, do, like, a segment where it's, like, one food name from history. Hey, like, teaching us about the great names that we've lost. Hey, like, who is the first great chef? I guess let's see what we got here. Who is the first great chef? Let's see. Marie Antoine Carme? Somebody from, again, 1784. We didn't have any good cooking until 1784. I telling you that's not true. So we're automatically maybe uncovering, obviously, again, the racist past that it is. But the August Chauffeur, 1846 to 1935, simplified Carmine's ornate style into a more accessible classic system, invented the kitchen brigade system. And I guess there is obviously, the challenge of finding food back in the day as well, too. Rose from poverty in Paris to cook for Napoleon. Tsar Alexander I and British royalty elevated cooking to high art and elaborate architectural sugar and pastry displays. Hey, yo, so that's like dessert types of. I want to know, like, I want like entrees, Chad. Hey, yo, yeah, see, this is like French pastries and breads. I guess we did say sourdough earlier, so maybe that's why, the Google AI is cooking that. Like, who invented barbecue? Hey, yeah, or like, pulled pork sandwiches or something, like, again, like, just like a burger. Hey, yo, who invented the burger? Ralph Fiennes in the menu, I think, is the guy that we're looking for. Who invented the burger? The burger patty? SpongeBob? Hey, yo, see, chat, we have no idea. We have no idea. The exact inventor of the hamburger is unknown. Hey, yo, and there is something about a hamburger versus a burger as well, too. Like, I guess that is because I guess they do say that, like, oh, the hamburger originated in Germany. I have a hard time believing that because the hamburger actually tastes really good, and I don't, like, German food's just like sour. It's like cabbage. Hey, yo, it's like, let's boil cabbage and throw it on some potatoes and not season it and call it German food. It's like, okay, like, this is great. There's this, I guess I can't speak out too much, but there was this German restaurant that we used to, and it's a classic restaurant. So, I guess maybe I don't know how many German restaurants are in the area. I don't know if I should start saying too much, but there is this German restaurant that our family does like to visit every now and then, and it is good, but it is one of those things where it's like, hey, well, I guess again, it's more like connected to family backstory. It's like, again, if I start talking about the family backstory, it's like you're gonna start needing this restaurant to taste good. But it's like, oh, people getting engaged here and stuff, and it's like, oh, obviously, again, it's there for the sweet memories. So that's that's the important part for sure. I'm pulling this menu back up here. What's even on the menu as well too? And I guess they do have a burger, but like a schnitzel sandwich, hey yo. Or like it's like sausage links. It's like a sausage link and cabbage is like the German diet, essentially. They got pork tenderloin on the menu. This is even, I gotta be honest, this is even less complicated than I remembered back in the day. This was like supposed to be a nice place. I guess, hey yo, is anybody watching from the family? Hey yo, shout out. It's a beautiful restaurant. But the builder, hey yo, I guess, a hot beef sandwich. That's pretty good. You can't go wrong there. But again, it's just potatoes and gravy. Hey yo, it's like, we got a cabbage sandwich, a potato sandwich, or you can get cabbage and potatoes together. But again, so either way, I do have a hard time believing that the hamburger is actually from Germany. Because again, the best version of a hamburger is you don't even call it a hamburger. Nobody walks around going, can I get a hamburger? I guess if you do, it's like, okay, who is this guy? But you just get a burger. Hey, I mean, the Americanization of it all. We colonized the burger. But, I think it is better as a burger. I do got to say that. I think we can take the hamburger from Germany just fine. They'll give it, we'll take that one. Hey, yo. It says Frank and Charles Menches, hey, yo, claim they served ground beef sandwiches at a fair in Hamburg, New York in 1885 after running out of pork sausage. So it's just like nobody ever decided to mash up beef into a patty before that, chat. Again, 1885? We didn't have beef patties until 1885? Like, what were we doing? I guess, again, you're just like, cutting it and carving it and eating it, right? Pause, ayo. And I guess that would be the thing, right? Is you just put it on a big stick, ayo, and just like cook it over a fire and just have to like rotate the whole cow over a fire or something like that. And that's turned this into a history of food pod. Hey, yo. But why not? Who invented the cheeseburger? According to White Castle, Otto Kraus was, according to White Castle, they invented the hamburger. Get out of here, chat. Let's hope White Castle didn't invent the hamburger. There's no way. The hamburger didn't start with the White Castle hamburger and grow out from that. Pause. Well, it may have. Hey, that's the, hey, yo. But he created it. He created a German sailors later. Oh, he created, maybe it says he credited. In 1881, he credited a German sailors later omitted the fried egg. Oh, so I guess it started with a fried egg? I don't know. Hey, yo, chat, history of the burger is going to be, I guess, maybe next summer. I guess now we're hitting the NFL season. We should have thought of this beforehand. Wait a second. So there's 2 pages on here. There's a page on Wikipedia called Hamburger, and then there's a page called The History of the Hamburger. Hey, yo, 1916. Entrepreneur Walt Wally Anderson opened a hamburger stand in Wichita, Kansas. Oh, chat, what happened? The anticipation. Let's see here. Is that McDonald's? I have not seen the Michael Keaton movie in a minute. See, this is not a hamburger. Well, this might be a hamburger, but this is not a burger. Hey, yo, like I want to know when the American burger was invented. Steak tartare is not a burger, though I'm sure it's probably good. I've never really had steak tartare before, but it's not a burger. So who invented the burger? Hey, yo, like, what is this, chat? Germany. I mean, I'm there's so many things we could call out, but the cooking is crazy. It's crazy. What is this? What is this? Pickles on the side? Hey, yo, I guess, that is like classic burger cuisine. This has to be a modern take on something. The hamburger runstuck was popular in 1869 and believed to be the precursor of the modern hamburger. I don't even know what this is. We've got like some type of shaved ham. We got like a piece of ham down here and then a burger patty and then just like Worcestershire sauce just all over it. Hey, yo. So this is, again, it needed to come. Yeah, chat, here we go. Yeah, the Big Mac. Yeah, look at this. Look at that. That's looking pretty gross right there. I'm not going to lie. Wikipedia, we can't get a better picture of the Big Mac. This has to be on purpose. Honestly, I do like that this is authentic. I don't know where they took this because this looks like it could be a studio environment, but you'd think they would have like a studio burger there as well, too. That is not a good looking burger. This looks pretty good. Yeah, that's classic, chat. There we go. There we go. So the problem is the disconnection of the cheese and the patty. Like, I think and I don't know why McDonald's doesn't do this as well too. Like, we might revolutionize the fast food industry with one suggestion, and maybe there is the whole, like, do you have to have your hamburgers and then put the cheese on after it gets ordered or something? I don't know. Like, I guess I never worked in like a burger. I never worked at the burger fast food situation. I did work at Pizza Hut for a little bit. So, back in the day, before we moved on to different restaurants, but we started off, started from the bottom, started at Pizza Hut, and again, that's obviously not dealing with that stuff at all. So, that's cheese on the whole time. Hey, that's the only thing that goes on basically. So, again, but that's the whole point of a cheeseburger, right? Is you put the cheese on the burger. Like, it never did dawn on me until I'm looking at it right now. Because again, every time I open it up, I guess the cheese is on the burger, but it's never melted on the burger. Hey, like, that's literally the only difference between like, like a slightly better fast food restaurant and then McDonald's. If McDonald's just melted the cheese on their burger, it'd be like, oh, McDonald's is now artisanal. Give them a Michelin star. Hey, yo. It's like, that's all you have to do. It's just like, that last couple seconds there, just throw that cheese right on the patty. And now all of a sudden, 5 stars. But the White Castle, yeah, shout out. White Castle, you can knock those back at 2 in the morning. That's for sure. A vegan hamburger. Oh, and now see, this actually, I think the secret with the vegan hamburgers, they could be really well seasoned as well too. Yeah, you have to really, make up for some lost time there. But you could get around that as well too. And again, it's not like it's one of those things. If I guess, you're telling us we can never eat a burger again. Again, personally, I'd be a little bummed out. But a black bean situation sandwich, I mean, it'd be good on a day, I'm sure, for sure. Let's see here. The rice burger. Oh, I thought that would be rice on the, maybe it is rice in the patty, but it looks like rice in the buns as well too. Hey, yo. Interesting. I wonder where they sell that at. Astronauts eating hamburgers in space thanks to this design of space food. This looks more like a, like a McBiscuit or something, like whatever they call that. Sausage McMuffin? McMuffin. Hey, yo, that's what it is. Though the McBiscuit could be something that, again, not to just reinvent the entire McDonald's menu. Ayo, melted cheese and a McBiscuit. But there we go. A couple of suggestions for you. Anyways, and hopefully Westbrook likes a hamburger as well too. I guess we kind of got sidetracked there. We didn't even mention the fashion for Westbrook. Just the most fashionable. Just, hey, we'll just casually mention this at the end. Honestly, maybe even the highlight of his career as well too. Not to say that disrespectfully. Again, like we're saying, he's one of the, 60 best players, 50 best players. Again, I don't know the ranking now at this point. Like we were saying, hey, yo. But one of the, I guess, confirmed 75 best players in NBA history. And easily the most talented. I guess outside of Walt Frazier. We did mention Walt Frazier earlier. Walt Frazier is the only other person that competes with Westbrook in terms of the, and do you say the fashion attempts? Hey, yo. The danger, the fashion risks that they would take. Because I guess maybe if we're going fashion risks, then Kuzma is the most fashionable, the risky player that's ever played in the NBA. But in terms of the ability to, I guess, steal the show with fashion. And I think Westbrook does have good looks. Hey, like there are the times where, again, the experimental stuff does get a little too crazy as well too. And honestly, Westbrook might be the most fashionable athlete of all time. If we're being honest, I guess, ooh, that's a hot take, because the problem is, again, like going back to Walt Frazier, there are going to be eras that maybe just the era, you view the era as more fashionable, or again, I guess, I got to maybe tread lightly about what I'm talking about, but there are looks from the 80s and 90s that, to me, hold up just as well. And, a hot take, some of the 80s and 90s looks hold up, but, they hold up just as well as some of the looks, now. Again, like Dion, I guess, would be up there for most, fashionable players, I guess, in history. I'm trying to think from an NFL standpoint. You don't get the runway as much. And NFL obviously has bigger rosters, and, NFL has a more expansive cultural, that just brings in more types of people. So you get your offensive lineman that's just like, just wear jeans and a cowboy boot. And it's like, then obviously, you have maybe, your quarterback like Joe Burrow is going to be out there and, like Gucci all the time or whatever, or, at the shows. I guess Joe Burrow would be up there. Justin Jefferson would be up there. I'm trying to think now that I thought of the Met Gala, who was at the Met Gala? Both those two were at the Met Gala. Maybe like CeeDee Lamb or something. I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking like CeeDee Lamb might be fashionable, but I can't like think of, CeeDee Lamb suit pictures or something I've seen. But most fashionable NBA players. I guess we'll start here, but we can go athletes. Oh yeah, true, Shay. So the Thunder do have to, I guess, win the Thunder right now are the most fashionable franchise of all time. I guess again outside of the Lakers and the Knicks, but do the Knicks have the second guy outside of Walt? They maybe have been, because again, like they did have some good personalities in the 90s, but it was more of like a gritty team in some ways. Like Pat Ewing was a star, but he was a star because he was like a star on the Knicks in some ways. Like Pat Ewing wasn't necessarily like, again, Pat Ewing a little Tim Duncan all-star for sure. Again, you don't necessarily have like crazy Pat Ewing, images in your mind of his game. But and yeah, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. We're just trying to, talk about, the fandom experience that we're all having. But again, Jordan Clarkson is getting a shout as well too. Is this a complex list? The 25 best dressed NBA players right now. This looks like it might be fairly new. Let's see. Oh, June 3rd, 2026. Boom. So this is, right after the NBA season here. And again, this is right now. I guess yeah, LeBron. Hey, LeBron's obviously one of the most fashionable players of all time. LeBron might be more fashionable than Westbrook. That's a close one. This is a good shirt that LeBron has on right here. I'm not gonna lie, it's a good look. Hey, this hat. Shout out. They definitely are promoting the article with the right picture here. I guess the Halliburton look does look a little kind of like 90s action cop basic, but it is fun as well too. There is something to where the jeans can get a little too basic on the other end of it for me anyways. It's like, oh, these are high fashion. And it's like, well, actually, maybe you like this color jean wash where it's like that super basic blue can get a little too, maybe it's just a little too like, traumatizing for just wearing basic jeans back in the day. Like, see, we're kind of going for it again here, though the fit on these are good. These are well fitted, tapered here at the ankle and stuff. So this is good. Who do we have here, chat? Oh, Landry Shamet. Whoa, Landry Shamet, the 25th best dressed NBA player right now? I would not have guessed that. Shout out Landry Shamet. Jason Tatum at 24. Okay, interesting jacket for sure. I always am, curious when you get like a wolf picture on anytime you put a wolf on a shirt. It's like, did you get that at the mall? But I guess, we have a sort of a woodland scene here instead of just a wolf as well too. So this could be like a Bob Ross painting as well. Oh, Jaylen Brown, one spot over Tatum in the fashion rankings. That was before the trade. Did Jaylen Brown talk about this on his Twitch stream? I don't know. But, good sort of, long length jacket here. Obviously the sort of flowy pant situation that you see these days. Looks good with the sort of metallic shoe. Ayo, I guess we're not breaking down fits here. But Jaylen Brown, Malik Monk, Ayo, Towns. I guess we're trying to find Westbrook. Wembanyama at 20. Wembanyama, shout out, pretty fashionable in his own right. Cade at 19 here as well. Interesting fit for sure. You got the short jacket, camo, baggy fit on the jeans. I don't know what the shoes are here. Maybe a more designer brand. Oh, Kuzma only at 18, chat. The disrespect. Hey, again, Kuzma definitely was really trying there. Oh, Tim Hardaway Jr. over Kuzma? Hey, I do like the jacket situation. I don't necessarily know about the short fit with the socks, but I guess, I get the kind of idea of, the look that he's going for there. And I guess it is honestly, now that I'm looking at it, it's a little Kendrick-esque. Like, maybe honestly, Kendrick might go a little bit longer with the shorts, just a little bit, or maybe, we're not dropping a diss track here, but maybe Kendrick a little shorter than Tim Hardaway Jr. as well too. But Tim Hardaway Jr. not like a power forward, but still obviously NBA 2 guard. But Westbrook only at 16. Hey, Chet, number 9 that he got bumped down how did Westbrook get bumped down the fashion rankings? Yeah, Westbrook, is he getting less fashionable? Is it Westbrook has already cemented, I guess, again, this is going back before he retired, so, RIP, he's not going to be on the list next summer, but Westbrook is already cemented as a legend when it comes to NBA style. Although his years of outlandish virals, ensembles, and nightly triple-doubles are behind him, he is still showing out. Now it's more common to see him showing up to games fitted in head-to-toe looks from his own brand. Honor the grit. But old Russ still shines through every once in a while when he decides to bust out a wide brim hat looking like Kung Lao or show up in silver workwear suit. Shout out to Sacktown for making sure we treated to one more year of Russ iconic tunnel fits. Yeah, Chet, so that's, not say that's going to be the biggest loss to the game. Not to say, not say that disrespectfully to his basketball game. But again, that is going to be a loss as well, too. Then they are making a good point here as well. There was, again, a time where Westbrook was definitely driving more conversation with his outfits. That is for sure. But, again, would you say that he's less fashionable or just in a different era with his taste? Jalen Green at 15. Hey, Kelly Oubre Jr. Okay, yeah, he would definitely be up there in the rankings as well. Nas Reed. Hey, okay, you got sort of the hoodie draped over the shoulder look. We might have to be we might borrow that one. Hey, LeBron at 12. Oh, okay. Again, I would have thought he would have been in the top 10. Jared McCain at 11. Lou Dort at 10. Oh, so the Thunder are the most fashionable franchise. Hey, Again, Westbrook played for the Thunder. Shit, they're going to have 3 of the top 11 most fashionable guys. This is Thunder bias here from Complex Chat. Hey, Thunder was paying them. They had payola here for the Thunder rankings. We got Jordan Poole at number 9. Shout out to Michigan man. Jared Vanderbilt. Hey, number 8. Frank Lucas over here with the coat. Hey, shout out. I think that one look is getting him in the top 10. Devin Booker at 7. Definitely, sneaky, underrated fashion. Probably more a king of the monochrome tones, do you say? Which honestly is probably more of a fashion that I have. I have only like white and black and gray in my outfit, in my closet. I guess we have a pink hoodie on right now. So we do have, when we do go colors, I guess we do have a rotation of like hoodies in every color, like teal blue. I got teal blue one right over there. Also a purple, also a gold. But I would say mainly, and I guess that's like a common as you get older, you're just like, I just want to get just like a black t-shirt and just wear that every day. But and I do have an uncle that literally has like 7 of the same black tees. Like I like that shirt. So I'm just wearing it every day. It's like, you know what? That works. But I guess, Devin Booker, I think does, really nail a lot of those, simpler tones as well too. And I think his shoes maybe, again, they kind of stay in like his not Air Force. Yeah, they are Air Force Ones. His Air Force Ones are kind of that light blue color. And his are sneaky, like some of my favorite shoes. They're not like crazy, like, designed or whatever, but they are really cool. Yeah, these ones here. Again, just really, really simple. And yeah, I do have a pair of these as well too, but we can never wear them because, again, they're too nice. Hey, it is what it is. But yeah, what I guess this and then like a pair of Jordan 3s back in our shoe collecting days. We'll resume those at some time. But hey, Jeremy Grant at 6. Right now, Tyrese Halliburton at 5. Jalen Williams at 4. The Thunder have 4 to the top 11. Hey, Jordan Clarkson at 3. Nickeil Alexander-Walker at number 2. Hey, so you've got 4 Thunder players and then a Thunder cousin as well too. Obviously, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we're not even just doing are they related? They are related. I think they're cousins, him and Shea, if I'm not getting that mistaken. I'm sure they'll mention it here in the write-up. I guess maybe not. Gets his own, his own storyline. And then Shea, number 1 right now, MVP and the number 1 most fashionable in the league. Nobody in the NBA is coming off a better season than SGA, not only to receive regular season NBA honors. Last season he was ranked number 2, so who was number 1? I guess last year. It was Jalen Williams was Jordan Clarkson was number 1 last year. You got the slippers. Hey, chat. The Supreme jacket, Supreme shirt, we're still wearing Supreme in 2026. I see. Okay, shout out. It looks good. Hey, got a fancy pocket chain situation here that we do find kind of cool. But wait a second, what happened to our background here? We're testing 1 2 3. Are we back up and going? Okay, there we are. We are going. But yeah, anyways, again, a current ranking, I guess, that has Westbrook way too low. Yeah, Halliburton, chat. Hey, this is a fun look. We got there have been in our church past. This is definitely a look that does provide some PTSD. There is a version of this look where it's like people were showing up to church like not trying to be fashionable, and now I guess it is like a fashionable look as well too. We would have been roasting a guy like, oh, what are you wearing these jeans for with this dress shoes and situations? Like now in 2026, like, oh, that's just what you do. But again, Jeremy Grant as well too. So yeah, Westbrook at 17 is definitely too low. So again, all time, like we said, outside of Walt Frazier, there would be, he's the other obvious name that you would get this list, I guess, complex again from 2023. Oh, Wade. Okay, yeah, for sure. I think Wade's definitely been a big Met Gala presence as well too. I guess. Do we have to do a little side Google here, chat, real quick, and so what's going on? Just a little Google search, nothing too crazy. What's going on? Just a little Remnants M, T, and Z corner. Just a little check of the history between two people. Maybe we don't investigate too much. Okay, we'll keep moving. But I just maybe was thinking of something there. But again, he obviously has had the connection with Gabrielle Union there, and again, they're have been a big, like we're saying, I guess is the Mets the one I'm thinking of, right? That's the big event. There isn't like the bigger fashion show, but again, there are other fashion shows. But Dennis Rodman, yes, at number 10 would make a ton of sense as well too. Shea already at number 9. Hey, so maybe it does show you that again, outside of the 2000s, maybe other eras just weren't fashionable. I don't know. Like maybe they were trying to be, but maybe they just weren't, because again, like the 2000s, obviously, like you have some of those like LeBron era classes that do get made fun of. There's like a 2008 NBA photo shoot that's kind of like iconic for the era. Nick Young at number 7, see, an underrated name, but another modern one. I wouldn't have thought. Walt Frazier at 6 is just complex. What are we doing? How is Walt Frazier the 6th best dressed NBA player of all time? Again, what? Russell Westbrook 5? PJ Tucker at 4? Now, PJ Tucker might, have the claim as being the best NBA sneakerhead of all time. Definitely in the conversation. One of the great shoe collections we have in the league, really in all time. And, great corner 3-point shooter, great shoe collection. But I don't know if the top to bottom fashion can get the same, criticism, or get the same level of culture, get the same level of, what are you saying, critical acclaim that Westbrook and Frazier can have. And again, Frazier should be number 1 as well too. Like, look at this, Chet. Look at the suits, the coats, the hats, the beard. Oh, Chet, the cars. It's perfect. The vibe. I mean, you can't blame other players for this as well too, but no other player can look like they were in this, can like look like the 70s, but then also be in the 70s. If that makes sense. Like Clyde was actually in the 70s, so that that also makes him more fashionable as well too. But we didn't even see who they had number 3. Oh, I guess they had Jordan Clarkson at 3 again. I guess for maybe what Complex is going for, but not more than the other guys. LeBron does really again, balance. What do you say? Straddle the fence there. I guess pause, but does balance the line of both ways. Obviously, he's played so long that he's had a great opportunity to explore all kinds of fashion. Again, going back to 03, he went from non-fashionable to fashionable in his time in the league. And I guess, I don't know if this goes down as one of his most iconic looks. I'm trying to think, he did show up, this is game 1 of the finals, right? If I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's because this game is so iconic that this look became iconic, but the bag and stuff, the shorts with the suit, I mean, kind of is a standout look for sure. And obviously, LeBron has been in the, do you say like the age like wine all-stars? Like he has gotten a more, I don't want to say like more handsome over his years, but he is a little Brady-esque in that ways. Like as, the time has gone on, like there has, and obviously that, just continues to go with, I guess, the fame and the power that continues to get, accumulate there. But, again, he just, continues to be a strapping gentleman in his own right. So the number 1, Allen Iverson, the number 1. Now, see, that is interesting because obviously on the court, definitely has the argument for sure. And again, off the court as well, too, just a different style. I mean, again, very authentic as well. I don't know if he was trying again to go for high fashion, obviously, in the same way that, again, people are going for it now as well. But, again, did bring an influence to the league that is definitely, still felt. But again, I do think it is a little bit more on the court. So if we were thinking the tunnel walk fashionable, then that does get to a little bit of a different list. But, again, Iverson would still be top 10 as well too. Like I don't think the names, like again, I would say like 6 to 7 of these names here are pretty much locked in at this point. Like in PJ Tucker, the shoe collection, it does have to lock him in there as well too. Wade, I'm not mad about Wade. Again, Wade's always been a sleek dresser for sure. Maybe he doesn't have the fashionable crazy looks, but again, you always would go, be up on the list for like the handsome NBA player rankings as well too. So, again, would be able to rock a suit pretty well. Again, Rodman, would be on the list. I guess 11. Wait, who is it? 11. We recently shared our list. Said others agree. Hi, Drake. Wait, what does Drake have to do with this? Hey, yo. But again, maybe like we're saying, the Nick Young, Jordan Clarkson spots, just because not to be harsh against the player status as well too. But we would definitely look at those. Get one other post. Again, there's not other 70s players that were looking good. Again, the 70s was just such an amazing era. 70s NBA. Let's see, 70s NBA fashion. Let's see what we get here. And it's going to be, I guess, a lot of on-the-court fashion. Hey, yo, Wall. I mean, the coach, chat. Look at the coach. Hey, yo, look at this suit. The timing. This is what Halliburton had on, but he was just wearing jeans for some reason. We also got this guy here, chat. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I mean, the suit game in the 70s was unmatched. I think chat, it's not even close. It's not even close. And the fits were good as well, too. I think the actual tailoring of the suits was a little bit more locked in than we were giving it credit for. Obviously, I guess he had the short era there as well too. And maybe Michael Jordan was fashionable in the 80s. Obviously, there was late 90s baggy era MJ, baggy jean era MJ, which is not the most fashionable. But again, there are some commercial looks here, like this, t-shirt, jeans, I guess, if he's in Jordan brand, it's looking pretty good there. Even Pat Ewing in a simple suit, just crushing the look. I guess, obviously the haircuts and stuff all the way around too are just going to be of an era. I guess, again, you're still going to get of an era style haircuts and stuff these days as well too. Braiding and coloring and all that stuff is going to be, more prominent than it was back then in a different way. But and like the tapering and the different sort of fade mohawk looks and stuff like that. NBA uniform fashions, I guess we have a timeline here as well. But yeah, chat. Hey, yo. I mean, you don't even have to look up just one player. You literally can just look up the league and just scroll the whole league. And that was just, again, a crazy era as well, too. Do we go 80s here? And so we got still pretty good. I guess we can get a pinpoint for what year this guy is sitting on the bench here to see what is going on. The warm-ups. Hey, again, maybe MJ's most fashionable is when he was at the warm-ups. Is Cheryl Miller crushing the fashion, chat? Hey, yo, of course, always, looking good. Shout out. Oh, Charles Barkley. Okay, just a classic little silk, what do you say, like silk sleeveless jumpsuit? Hey, yo. I don't know what's, the approval rating of that look here. Again, the Frank Lucas jacket trend continues. Magic Johnson, of course, Showtime, LA. There is just a natural fashion that is going to be there as well, too. But again, you do kind of see maybe the prominence of it in the 80s. Again, it may not be as just overwhelming as it was. And then the 90s, I guess. Okay, so, modern pictures reinventing the 90s. Like, this is a cool jumpsuit here. But that wasn't actually taken in the 90s. Okay, we got what? Shaq? Is this Cindy Crawford? Hey, yo, maybe we should know our models a little bit more. But, okay, so we got the sort of, is she standing in a pair of Shaq's jeans, but in one leg? Because, Shaq's a big guy. Hey, okay, so we see what they're doing there. Okay, we've got the jeans and the dress shoes back again. So we guess we do, see the 90s fashion being remixed maybe a little bit more than the 70s fashion as well, too. Shout out to Iverson. Again, we see him on the bench. Is this All-Star or something? Again, I don't know where Iverson would have been on the bench for a game. Or maybe he's back for a college game or something. I don't know. Again, look, I see Jordan here. Like, there's a look. I guess, he had the hat going for a large part of his career. That was, definitely a little bit iconic to his silhouette as well, too, kind of off the court there. Hey, yo, we got the oversized jersey again, baggy jeans era as well. Okay, Chad. I mean, it is what it is. You can't deny it. The suit for LeBron here looks pretty good as well, too. Oh, our guy, Tim Duncan. Is this the best look he ever pulled up in? This shirt is pretty cool. And again, he does have it fitted out where you could say that this is a fashionable look, but he's towing the line here between fashionable and not. He's not going to have any type of chain on underneath here to sort of give you, some extra layers, some extra texture, no earrings or anything like that. Even just, some jewelry here up top would have been, a nice way to round that out. Hey, again, the 90s we see here looking pretty good. But yeah, again, we do need more representation from earlier eras in lists like this, because they are definitely looking good. League Fits Hall of Fame, the most influential, best dress. The class of 2019 League Fits Hall of Fame. Hey, 25 most stylish players in the NBA. Oh, this is back from 2010. Do I see an OJ Mayo here on this list? Hey, so 2010s. This is definitely like a very preppy era. Hey, John Wall. What is he, in a boy band? Hey, we got the nice little button-up sweater here. The tie, looking good. Derek Fisher at 25. Like, he's not even doing anything here, chat. This is just a suit off the rack. Like, see what I mean for the tailor fitting? Like, we kind of lost it a little bit there in the 2000s. So this just shows you what kind of era we're in. If Derek, this is like when, again, going back to Simmons, when he talks about the trade value, and he's like, oh, I could never find 30 players that are worth in the trade value ranks. It's like, can we find 25 fashionable players in the NBA? Hey, Derek Fisher's number 25. But Darren Williams, number 24. Again, just, classic look, nothing too fancy, just a nice little crew neck over a dress shirt here. This is definitely a look that, we might pull up to the restaurant in at some point. Same with KG. We might model our game after 2010's NBA fashion and didn't even realize it as well, too. Sherlock Steve Nash in the jacket here. You do like the detective look that he is giving out. I don't know if this is a Columbo-inspired jacket or not. Blake Griffin. Okay. Again, very, I guess, it is of an era. Shout out to the 2010s as well, too. Again, the 70s are definitely, kicking some butt here as well, too. But the sunglasses in the, in the middle of the vest is a look. Grant Hill, tan suit. Ayo, I guess, he isn't. Is he in politics now? He might be. Ayo, I guess we double check that, maybe for better or worse. I don't know. I guess should we double check here? Grant Hill politics. Let's get controversial. Ayo, Grant Hill politics. What's he do, Chad? Should we call him out or support him? I don't know. Let's see where he says campaign for. Oh, okay. Shout out. Okay, shout out Grant Hill. Okay, it says he campaigned for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I don't know. Okay, wait, it says a different. Okay, it says a different Grant Hill ran as a Republican candidate for. Oh, okay, so for Iowa House District 88. So it was a local Grant Hill, I guess, that I'm getting. Probably not the same basketball career, but yeah, there is a Grant Hill in politics that we don't like, but there is a Grant Hill, I guess, that we do like, and he is the basketball Grant Hill. So shout out to Grant Hill there. Again, assuming he hasn't changed, I just got confused again. It says also up here as well. But yeah, shout out, I guess, tan suit homage here for Grant Hill. We can confirm a shout out is legit. OJ Mayo. Again, everybody's just in a suit. So whoever put on a suit in 2010, you were just on the list. It is what it is. A good looking suit, nice tie as well. What do you say? Very outstanding pocket hanky. Hey, Dwight Howard, number 18. Okay, we're just kind of alternating back between suit and no suit and a vest. Tony Parker, nice watch situation here as well. This just looks like all kind of one photo shoot. Oh, chat, there's no way this shirt's the 16th best shirt in the NBA in 2010. Sean Marion, what are you doing? I guess Westbrook might have worn this shirt, though, so I can't be too mad. But I don't know. I guess the belt, I guess Westbrook literally probably would have worn this fit. So we can't judge it too hard. Ron Artest, okay, shout out DJ Ron Artest over here, looking good. DeMarcus Cousins back in the suit, and I guess DeMarcus Cousins or Ron Artest breaking the suit trend for this top list. The one guy able to make it. He probably, well, I guess what jokes we're gonna make, but Carmelo Anthony, number 13, shout out. I guess he would be one from the era where I don't know if he quite kept up with the other fashion. Like, again, if you have Wade and LeBron and Carmelo all in a suit, like all, again, everybody looks good, especially an NBA athlete, they're all going to look good in a suit. You have a nice, again, athletic frame. It's going to tailor well. But your hot take, but I don't know if Melo was doing, and we love Melo as much as any of those guys, but I don't know if he was doing the off-court fashion, the non-suit fashion, the way that LeBron and Wade are, if that makes sense. But again, his high school jersey is probably like his Oak Hill jersey is probably a better jersey than the Lower Marion is Kobe. St. Vincent St. Mary jersey But again, that's just probably maybe more the availability of it. It's a little bit more available, but it is cool as well too. But again, shout out to Melo. I'm not gonna bump his spot off the list. Chris Paul at number 12. Hey, yo, chat. John Wall at 11. Honestly, maybe it's just because this is a high quality picture as well too. But he could be higher up the list here. Oh, Derrick Rose, chat. Whoa, look at this. Straight off the magazine cover here. Honestly, the basketball might be the coolest part of this photo, but the tie is cool as well too, and an extreme leather jacket as well. Again, a lot tighter, smaller fits on the jackets. Here we go. Amari Stoudemire showing up for a presentation. You love the the iconic look here. Okay, classic dress shoes. That gradient brown situation on the on the shoes there. Paul Pierce. Okay, number 8. Definitely probably would have himself up there a little higher. And Shaq as well too. So it turns out a hat is the secret to get you into the top 10 because we have Pierce and Shaq, both with hats, and Baron Davis too at number 6. Again, unbuttoned collar as well. Definitely a move that I would steal if I'm wearing a suit. Top button, never buttoned as well. Oh, Lamar Odom. Shout out. Okay, so we got an interesting 3 material suit here. Hey, yo. But, I guess it was high fashion back in 2010. Kobe, number 4. Shout out. And LeBron at 3. We got Wade at 2. And then Gilbert Arenas, the former number 1 most fashionable player. Now, looking at this picture, is Gilbert Arenas fashionable, or is he skewing the voters' minds here as well too? I mean, this is a good-looking suit for sure. Hey, I have Gilbert Arenas, chat. I didn't know he was, moving like a pimp in 2010. Hey, yo. But, he's got the full like ID card on the chain here situation. Hey, yo. The nice 5-button vest and the long-tailed suit, the scarf around it. I mean, it's a very intentional look for sure. But I gotta say, I feel like an NBA player should somebody try this again? Jalen Green. Hey, yo, we had him. Who was ranked highly in the other rankings that we were looking at there? Maybe somebody else is able to take that there. Hey, yo, but I guess the point is, again, shout out to Westbrook. Hey, yo, again, a great career, one of the best point guards, one of the most fun players to watch, and shout out to CP3 as well too. We will definitely be missing their games. Their absences will be felt in the league. That is for sure. Hey, yo, chat. Again, nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares anymore. Michigan players don't even care about playing Ohio State. So it's just good to think about, the good old days when players like Russell Westbrook actually used to care about the NBA. But I guess, we have some preseason, some training camp stuff to wander through here before the end of the night. Hey, one last quick look at Bucks versus Jets, I guess. But no, I guess like we said, we had some maybe more interesting quarterback stuff going as well too. We still have to dig into the tape, I guess, and see what we got going on. But 10 for 16 for Mendoza, 97 and a touchdown. Gardner Minshew, 14 for 16, 101 and 2 touchdowns. Do the Cardinals just have like a good offense? Like, what's going on? Because I guess, Carson Beck was playing well as well too. Jacoby Brissett, 5 for 5. Caden Slovis, 7 for 9. And Gardner Minshew, 14 for 16. And again, Carson Beck was like 15 for 19 in the last game and is now like the number 1 quarterback in a redraft scenario. I guess he's the best quarterback. But we can double check his status here, I guess, as well. And then he just suffered a minor injury in the Hall of Fame game. But again, really, they were probably just like, maybe we've seen enough. And we don't want to, or, seen enough to ramp up the amount of precautions that we're taking. Hey, yo, not to be, again, like, does the NFL not care about their players? I guess you figure it out. And, again, if a player is going to be more valuable to the team, they're going to be more likely to, be a little bit more cautious about that stuff. And so, again, if they're looking at Beck like, hey, he might be starting 10 games this year for us, and kind of like are we going to get like 3 days? I guess, again, if they're going to be the number 1 pick, they're, are they setting themselves up for that quarterback anyways? But is there that world where Carson Beck is like a pretty good starter for him? And maybe there is something there. So, again, they just obviously are wanting to take those precautions and not risk anything. But we got to check out who this OC is. as well, or just Cardinals coaching staff in general. Do they still is Gannon still there? Hey, yo. Or did they already, make some changes? I don't think they did though. Head coach. Oh, they did. They brought in Mike LaFleur. Okay. So they did make a quick move there. I guess, Arizona, they will do that. They did obviously move on from, Josh Rosen, right, for Kyler Murray. So, I guess did Gannon maybe had 2 or 3 seasons there? I'm not sure. It might have been a little longer than, I'm initially thinking. But let's see. Oh, St. Louis Cardinals. I guess we're not looking for that Cardinals. Hey, yo, those shout out again, baseball season. Hey, yo. But, yeah, they do have Mike LaFleur right now, who, if I'm not mistaken, I think was with the Rams last. So did Mike LaFleur, or was he with the Jets? Hey, yo, that'd be weird. But I guess I saw green here. And maybe was there a LaFleur on the Jets at one point? Or maybe he was there before the Rams. I don't know. We'll double check. Elmhurst, offensive assistant. Okay, yeah, he was the Jets offensive coordinator in 21-22, so he's come a long way since then. 49ers passing game coordinator before that. But yeah, Jets offensive coordinator, and then the Rams offensive coordinator, and now the Arizona head coach. So what was the, were the Jets like good in 21-22 and I don't remember? The fact that I don't remember, again, probably means it was just like the, normal old Jet seasons that we've been having here the last couple of years. But maybe they had some good offensive numbers. Was this like a Fitzpatrick season that they put up some stats, or Geno Smith a couple years ago before he went somewhere? Let's see, 2021. Robert Saleh, 4-13. Oh, was this the Zach Wilson era? So I guess you can't blame him too much, right? Hey, yo. Maybe the fact that they won 7 games with Zach Wilson in 2022 is like the ultimate credits. It's like, how did Mike LaFleur get 27 wins? The 29th offense in the league. So again, hey, yo, anything's like Carson Beck. Mike LaFleur with Carson Beck is like, oh man, look how good this guy is. Imagine if he has a good quarterback. I guess we just saw him with the Rams. He literally has an MVP of the league. So Zach Wilson under Mike LaFleur was 5-4, and I guess 6 touchdowns and 7 picks. But somehow Zach Wilson was 5-4. Hey, yo, Mike White was 1-3, and Joe Flacco was 1-3. Maybe Zach Wilson's better than we thought. But shout out to Mike LaFleur. He might be interesting because the Cardinals their offense and quarterback play now. They've had 4 guys have very productive preseason. Again, are we overreacting to preseason? But that is still a little something. And I have seen a lot of people been comparing Jeremiah Love to Adrian Peterson. Hey, yo, I guess we'll just go right out and say it. It is what it is. And I guess it's interesting to have him and Gene T as well, too. We had like the quarterback battle of potentially Beck and Mendoza, but really, I guess the number 1 picks over the last couple of years as well would have been Gene T and Jeremiah Love for these teams. And Gene T, I guess, had the same average yards per carry as Love, but he only had 3 carries. He was 3 for 16, and Love was 11 for 58. But again, I don't know if visually people have had the same reaction to Gene T over the last couple of years where they're watching him like, oh, this Jerome Bettis reincarnated or something, or, Emmitt Smith. But it's like, oh, Jeremiah Love. Immediately people are like, look at this guy run. He's like Adrian Peterson all over again. Again, I don't think he's, ripped off a long run. He's only had maybe less than 20 carries so far, so maybe I need to give him a break. Hey, yo, how many carries do you have to have before you can rip off a long run? But let's see what we got here. I guess, oh no, he didn't play the last game. That's right, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, getting his feet under him for sure. You got to adjust there. We got to give him a break. But because they did play in the Hall of Fame game, right, against the Panthers there, and he wasn't there. But longest to 16, again, breaking a little something for sure. But, and like, we always have to remember as well, too, the NFC West is crazy, but maybe there's a different order in the NFC West this year. They're kind of staring at the Niners. We're kind of staring at the Niners. You would imagine that the Rams would be a step up with the moves they made, and it would be too difficult to think that Seattle slides like to be the worst team in the division. Hey, yo. Like, again, Mike McDonald, good coach. Sam Darnold's been a 14-win quarterback the last 2 years, so we'd almost be shocked the other way now. It's like Sam Darnold is finally convinced us all that he's good. And now they would go back to, the other way. But, there is like a little, okay, if somebody's going to be the surprise, take a, 5 steps back team, and this team's 6 wins at the bottom of the division. Somehow Arizona's at 7, and they're one game over them. It's not like Arizona again has to be a playoff team to be better than San Francisco, or San Francisco has to be the worst team in the league. But again, maybe there would be a little bit of a. I'm just that would be a situation to keep an eye on. I'm not betting that as our hot take scenario, but that would be one that would be on the long list, I guess, to definitely consider there. And again, if GT would be, a little more explosive, or they would have a little bit more optimism in the run game, I guess 19 for 103 as a team is obviously pretty good as well, too. Productive for sure. As long as you're getting to that 100-yard mark as a team, you can rely on that. But, again, I guess, again, we're probably a little too excited for Mendoza this year as well, too. Oh, wait. Oh, sneeze. Okay, sorry, chap. Hey, yo. The build was, hey, yo, it was happening there for a second. But we survived. We made it through. Okay, more preseason, I guess. We want to look at, I guess the next, is like, what are we going to investigate over tomorrow, I guess, after we get off work. Because I do want to go back and watch some of these Bengals drives as well, too. You do have the Burrow murmurs, I guess, starting to happen again. Not to say like, what's happening with Burrow, but, I guess there is a little bit of, what's happening with Burrow. It's like, okay, hasn't made the playoffs in this long. This is what the teams look like. This is what the wins look like. This is what the expectations of Burrow has. Like, okay, how long has it really been since they've been like, all legit stuff for sure. So that's what I'm saying. We definitely need to go back and look at that there, and not to have like a total reevaluation on all of Burrow's playing minutes, because again, I think there has been some conversation the entire time of this time of like, yes, the Bengals offensive line has needed to improve, but also maybe Burrow is not 100% blameless in this as well too. And you do see that kind of becoming more and more of a conversation. And to be honest as well, I queued up a little bit of the Pittsburgh game this morning because I had heard that like the word on the street was Drew Aller had a good game. I haven't even looked up the box score yet to confirm that, and I guess I was working on something else, so I kind of missed what I was trying to watch there. But when I was watching initially their offensive line, it was just like, okay, like this is an offense. You've seen offensive lines that are bad in the past, like when the quarterback can't even get to their drop, and all of a sudden they're having to maneuver past defensive linemen and not take the sack. That is a problem. I feel like when the quarterback is able to at least get to their drop, again, not say that the Bengals offensive line has been good, and not say that Burrow has not, suffered from that and, has needed more time to adjust this type of stuff. But it's like, okay, it does seem like he can get to the back step of his drop more often than not. And maybe he doesn't have as much time to climb up into the pocket and wait as like, Jalen Hurts does in Philly, where it's like, let me just sit back here for 6 seconds. And not say that Jalen Hurts does that all the time. I'm just thinking of a good offensive line that, Joe Burrow could play with. And I'm just saying, it's not like maybe he has the time to sit and climb the pocket the same way that some offensive lines do. But maybe if you do have the ability to run a quick offense, that there should be something there. And again, that could be coordination. I don't know. But, again, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to need to probably go back and watch more than just this preseason game as well, too, to get a better sense of what's going on. Because the other argument would be, of course, well, is anybody open when he's at the back of his drop? And it's like, well, again, he has Chase and Higgins, so you would assume that at least some of those times that people would be open as well too. So again, I'm sure when somebody's taking as many sacks as Burrow is in a year, then and again, unless you're Andrew Luck getting absolutely destroyed, but even Andrew Luck was not blameless in everything as well too. Andrew Luck would try to extend plays, and then all of a sudden the defender's tackling him as well, and you're just like, oh, is there some unnecessary contact there? Like, it's not perfect. So, and we love Andrew Luck. That's not calling him out. That's just what it was. It's part of him being a great player trying to succeed is sometimes that means that you're going to have to, take some physical toll for that. But, again, not everybody can be blameless in this type of situation. When the sack and the pressure pause, and when that aspect of the game has been so much of a struggle for this team, it is everything. It's the offensive line needs to get better. It's Burrow needs to do something different with the processing. The game planning needs to be a little different to scheme up around what the team has as well too. Like, that just seems common sense. It's not even like, oh, Zach Taylor, deal with it. You have a bad offensive line, but that's just like coaching 101. It's like, well, okay, we don't have the ability to block for these plays. We can't run these plays. Hey, yo. So, again, you don't want to eliminate too much of the playbook, but again, there has to be a balance here, and everybody has to be held accountable as well. And again, now you do start to see, maybe Burrow is starting to be held a little accountable, and maybe again the receivers. Maybe the receivers aren't as open as we thought. Like, maybe that's something I go back and immediately go, okay, no, the receivers are open. But I'm just thinking it out, and since we're talking about it, and I'm not talking with, again, having just watched the footage, we will, I guess, again, blame everybody at this point. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But there is moments when, again, it is as bad as it's been for as long as it's been for Cincinnati, that it is everybody involved. It is both the offensive line and some of the quarterback play as well, too. Any quarterback that gets sacked a lot is partially to blame. It is what it is. Not to victim blame the quarterbacks, but, you do have to look at it a little bit, at least, and see what's going on there. But, and, he only took 1 sack, I guess, in 6 pass attempts. So, hey, yo, is that too crazy? I don't know what the ratio is there. I guess 1 in every 6 is not great. That's basically every other set of downs, you're basically getting sacked at that point. So you're almost always behind the sticks at some point. Hey, yo. But, again, we'll have to see what the Burrow, I guess, like we're saying, narratives are after this season. But, again, there isn't necessarily, I don't think he is, he would have been a tier 1 guy a couple years ago. Obviously, after that Super Bowl run, it's like Burrow is Burrow the best quarterback in the league? And now, again, obviously that's just, he's not in the conversation anymore. It is what it is. Obviously, again, that's time going by and other guys' resumes, getting bigger. Pause. But again, even a guy like Jalen Hurts over the last couple of years, who has now won a Super Bowl in his own right, been in 2, like, has his legacy gotten better? Are other guys, who have just into the league now, over the last couple of years, in a year or two, gonna just be, it's like, oh, Caleb Williams is obviously better than Joe Burrow. Again, I don't know what the exact, Jared Goff over the last couple of years in Detroit. Again, maybe you wouldn't say Jared Goff outright better than Joe Burrow, but, Jared Goff has been more successful the last couple of years. A little healthier as well, too. Again, way better offensive line, but still a little more successful as well. So, again, just something to keep on the board as like, examine Joe Burrow's situation and see what is, going on there. But I guess we should probably also examine the other NFC North team that we were talking about as well too, Pittsburgh, and actually verify what we had for Aller here. Yeah, 10 for 13 for 153 and 2 touchdowns. Now, again, what I was saying when, I definitely tried to queue up this game and didn't, see as much of it as I would have liked. And I guess you did have Will Howard putting up some decent numbers as well too, 7 for 9 for 86. Again, maybe in preseason, just having quarterbacks, rack up completions. Turns out, hot take, that's not, again, that is the goal of these offenses. So they're just go for the easy stuff. But, again, I would say that maybe Aller was the third of the 3 quarterbacks out there for the Steelers, because they started with Rudolph, who I guess 10 for 11 for 93, was doing kind of okay in his own right. And then I did see some number 18 Will Howard running around there as well too. It seemed like after Mason Rudolph. So there is, again, that argument that I guess Aller would have been playing against, the 3rd string guys or something like that. But even if he would have told me Aller against the 3rd string in his first preseason game would have been 10 for 13 for 153 and 2 touchdowns, I wouldn't have necessarily believed that. Because again, I was not I honestly, he didn't have this game at Penn State, if we're being honest. And, again, that could be, again, like we're saying, the easy thing to do is just go, well, do we look at Penn State's offense? And James Franklin, guess what? James Franklin is not there. So if we are, if that is the case, that turns out that whatever on the field stuff that James Franklin wasn't quite able to pull together, wasn't getting the quarterback production that he needed, again, maybe that's the case. But we did also have, like Hackenberg a couple years ago. Like there have been some Penn State guys who have been the sort of, prototypical quarterback build in some ways and had the skill sets, and then maybe not quite again, develop stuff. But I mean, Chad, look at this, 6 games in 2025, and he did get hurt maybe as well too. But, definitely just very, easy production throughout. We get 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. He was down from 207 yards a game to 183. Touchdown to interception ratio is pretty similar there as well. But you definitely see the yardage and the completions take a little bit of a step back. I guess 25 touchdowns. He did lead the Big Ten in touchdowns in 2023. Hey, obviously go back and double check that. Maybe some two-way threats in the Big Ten, getting some rushing touchdowns. And yeah, two picks as well too. But again, it was a really, 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 really safe offense for him. And 59% from completion percentage. It's like, when you start asking him to do stuff, maybe it's not totally successful. But again, he was a sophomore at that time as well too. So you're like, okay, going forward, he is, hopefully going to continue to get better the next season. The efficiency stays still pretty good as well too. Again, obviously not 25-2, but that's a little unreasonable to expect. 24-8, lock that in. The completion percentage goes up. So, again, you're like, okay, he's trending in the right direction. And then 2025 just did not seem like it was, that leap forward that you were expecting. And again, that's not even the injury for the totality of the season. That's just in the games where they were playing. And you have to remember as well too, that's those early games in the season. So it's not like they subbed Drew Aller in for the 6 hardest games, the 6 most difficult games, and he got hurt for the other ones. Those were those easier games that, you probably expect much more, comfortable performances in those moments. Yeah, you have Nevada, I guess, he's doing fine there. 22 for 26, 217 and a touchdown. But again, Nevada. Florida International, Villanova, not necessarily a football school. And then they go Oregon, UCLA, Northwestern, 1, 2, 3, lose all those. And again, James Franklin literally gets fired. So if you're ever the quarterback of a team that, loses 3 games in a row and then gets your coach fired, usually it's not like, sign me up for the NFL experience for this player. Again, no disrespect. It's just, it's usually not the number one traits that you're looking for on the draft board. But, again, he still did go pretty highly as well, too. Top 75 pick, basically. 76 overall. And obviously 76 is in the top 75. But, again, close enough. We're saying top 80 pick, in the NFL draft. So there is a, and was he the 4th quarterback off the board behind Klubnik? So, got still a overall NFL talent that is being viewed there as well, too. And obviously we have Mike McCarthy as the Steelers coach still. Is it Arthur Blank? It's still Brian Angelicchio was hired in February 26th, so another new coordinator, offensive guy as well in Pittsburgh, just like we're looking at, Arizona getting new faces, Pittsburgh getting new faces. I guess, and like we said, the offseason, we're continuing to catch up on all the moves that happened. Most recently served as the passing game coordinator for Minnesota for the last 4 years. I mean, that would have been the Sam Darnold renaissance there. So if he does have some quarterback workshopping skills, would not be surprised. Maybe if he could, help Drew Aller along a little bit. So again, that could just be, right time, right place for Drew Aller as well too, landing in the right scenario. But, again, that does matter. Obviously, not a hot take for the quarterback development here. And, again, that's obviously just a very impressive start for Aller as well. Now, again, do we go Packers defense they had on the field and all those different things? But still, much more exciting than, like we're saying, just any of the games that he had last year. Even this game for Nevada, again, no disrespect to Nevada, but it's just not quite going to, inspire the, okay, we can do this on the next level type of situation that, you're really hoping for there over the last couple of years with Penn State. He did have, I guess, a game against Purdue where he was 247 and 3 touchdowns in that game. Oh, here we go. An overtime win against USC. 391, 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. But he did get the win. So those two. And then a 56-0, 309, 3 touchdowns versus Kent State. Again, would also be on the list as well, too. I guess we'll go 2023. Just to see if there is a performance there. Oh, here we go. Maryland, 240 and 4 touchdowns is pretty efficient. And then Ole Miss in the bowl game that they lost, 295, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Michigan State in their last game of the season, 292 and 2 touchdowns as well. So maybe, maybe 6 games in his entire college season that he's had better than this debut in Pittsburgh. And maybe there was a catch and run pass here as well too. Did Wetjen have like a catch and run? That might have been like a big part of it as well. We have to go back and double check that. But, and again, that 3rd round swing, you're not necessarily like betting him to be the starter this year, but if there was something in the future that would be a productive quarterback, then that's obviously a major win there as well too. So again, definitely seems like it's a trending to be obviously a more worthwhile bet than I would have assumed as well too. But even Will Howard, like I would have thought Will Howard would have been a better value in the draft than Aller. But again, for whatever for him falling, wherever you would have taken him. But maybe Aller does really again have that passing talent that can be unlocked there as well too. Even maybe McCord as well over Aller. I'd have to go back and see like is Aller sneaky more athletic than I'm thinking, but I don't remember him like moving around a ton. Like McCord was just a better passer in college than Aller was. And again, that's not always the correlation as well too. We know that. But, again, there was a moments thing as well too. Again, there's just a lot going on there. So like we're saying, there is the out of nowhere player that can just, it just happens. It's like, oh, this guy just took 2 steps forward in the offseason. We didn't expect that. And all of a sudden, that offseason just had to be the offseason that he was going into the NFL. So now he's just 2 steps better and happens to be that he's in the NFL now as well too. Like, again, guys do that. But, will it be Steelers starter? I guess you still have Rodgers this year. So, still going to be there. You would assume that, again, they're not going to be like, are we going to be waiting to bench Rodgers for Aller the same way that, again, like we're saying, the Raiders were, or some of these other teams are going to be doing it with their younger guys, But that is, again, just a name to be like, okay, maybe Aller is going to be like a 4-start quarterback this year. And I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even have thought we would have seen him this year as well too. Nice backup throughout his, again, not to but that's honestly what I was thinking. Maybe nice backup, but it's like, okay, maybe there's a career as a starter here. I don't know. Maybe he's the Kirk Cousins of the draft as well too. Oh, Chad, I did want to check out the Cam Ward stats real quick because again, we are obviously rooting against the Titans because they are an AFC South rival, but Cam Ward 5 for 12 for 57 yards. We'll have to see if we can go back and blame this on the Titans as well. Hopefully we can, because again, Will Levis was 3 for 8, and I guess Mitch Trubisky 2 for 3. Hendon Hooker 2 for 3 as well too. So Hendon Hooker and Cam Ward, Chad. I mean, again, we just like players here on this pod. It is what it is. We just like football. Yeah, we just like basketball. So you just get us reading rosters over here, and I just get excited when I read a roster. It is what it is. It doesn't have to be good. I just have to be like, oh, this is a great quarterback room. Cam Ward, Hendon Hooker, and Will Levis. But at least 2 out of the 4 here are nice. If they had a third quarterback that was more interesting, then I would. If Adrian Martinez was in place of Will Levis, this was Cam Levis, Hendon Hooker, and Adrian Martinez, I'd be like, sign me up for the Titans quarterback room. Pause. But that'd be just, a fun room to coach or something like that. I don't know. But, run game, I guess, you still have, you draft Singleton. I guess you have Pollard, Chestnut. Not Morris. But, well, we'll keep an eye. It doesn't hurt the Colts. It doesn't hurt the Colts if Cam Ward is, not an all-star. But we do like Cam Ward and, number 1 overall pick. So we are rooting for him there. Adrian Martinez. Another interesting, was he Nebraska in college? He was pretty good. San Francisco, I mean, Shanahan offense, best bet you're going to get for quarterback success there. Curtis Rourke looks like putting up some good numbers as well. So hopefully that's an opportunity there for Adrian Martinez to lock himself into a roster and, get some good opportunity there as well too. I did also see the score of this Denver game when we logged on. Just Denver looking like the best team in the league. Oh, Stidham, chat. I mean, is it unfair? Is it unfair? Stidham was just quarterback in the conference championship game, and now he's in a preseason game. I mean, what are you gonna do? But 9 for 15 for 131 and a touchdown, and then Sam Ehlinger 10 for 14 and 67. There is, is Sam Ehlinger gonna win the quarterback 2 spot? I don't know if Ehlinger would have been the number 2 guy to bring in there. And Stidham is interesting as well too, because that game against the Patriots was, I guess, close enough that maybe you feel like, I guess Stidham is a good backup. But maybe there would have been, I guess, Cooper Rush didn't play better than Stidham. He had 2 picks. But I don't know. You would have been like, is there one other backup upgrade in the league other than Stidham? And again, you have to go offensive style of play. Maybe it would have to be, I guess, if you thought you could extract pause more out of if you could get more play out of a younger quarterback that maybe a team would, again, like Will Levis or something. Like if you thought that Will Levis could be better than Stidham, and then you try to make a move there to, get that insurance in case Bo Nix does get hurt again. Because again, this team is a Super Bowl contending team. So the importance of being able to maintain that if your quarterback goes down, obviously extremely difficult. But that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to keep an open eye to be like, was there something else that, could be done as well too. Not to say that it desperately needed to be, but just again to have that out there. I guess we saw like Gardner Minshew for the Cardinals. Like Minshew would have been an option. I don't know. But Tua 3 for 5 for 22 yards. Honestly, he just good he escaped, with 22 yards. Hey, yo, no sacks. Okay, shout out Tua. He's like, whew, that was close. But Lives the other day. Shout out Cooper Rush. Yeah, 7 for 19 for 2 touchdowns. That is tough. His retirement game. Speaking of Russell Westbrook retiring, hey, shout out to Cooper Flagg for his retiring after this preseason 1 performance. It is what it is. But yeah, obviously, taking care of business for Denver tonight. Passes deflected. Jonah Ellis 2. What do we got? Any standouts here in the defensive stats? We got Sanders with a sack. So that's encouraging to see for sure. And we did have a tie in the Colts game. A perfect way to start the preseason. Of course, preseason football. Anthony Richardson, 11 for 14 for 145 in a pick. I mean, Chad, we like we said, we're not giving up. We're not giving up. I mean, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that means at this point. He'll still be in the league in 5 years. That's all I mean. Anthony Richardson will not be denied the league opportunity yet. But, yeah, there is something. There is something. And again, Daniel Jones, it's not like, I guess at the end of the day, we want the team to play well. So if Daniel Jones means the team is going to be better, then yes, we want the best opportunity for the team. But, go back and check the tapes. We had a lot of nice things to say about Anthony Richardson. And, I mean, let's be honest. I guess in some ways, his upside is still higher than Daniel Jones. But it is what it is. I'm just invested at this point. So, we're rooting for him to get out there and at least. And again, maybe for who are we just saying for, I guess, no, Denver, I guess you wouldn't take a, again, if you're trying to win the Super Bowl, you wouldn't take a bet there for Anthony Richardson. But I guess if there was, I guess, again, obviously looking for similar scenarios, but if he does have, good preseason here, then maybe there is, a team that would be willing to, I guess have an opportunity there for him. But again, like we're saying, Daniel Jones, either his injury history or just, again, you keep in the back of your mind, like, it is Daniel Jones. Like, it wouldn't be a 100% lock that Richardson couldn't get an opportunity later in the season. But again, last year we saw Riley Leonard as well too, also, kind of win that number 2 job as well. But he was 10 for 21 for 89 in a pick. So both at a pick. Richardson just more efficient beforehand. So that's the point for winning the quarterback job. 6 carries for 53 yards. Hey, Chad, I'm gonna cue this game up right now. This will be the best. This literally is the best Anthony Richardson performance that he's had right now. Just in terms of the amount of passes and yards. Has he thrown 14 passes in a game beforehand? And I'm still not giving up. It is what it is. I know, Chad. I know you're like, who is this crazy guy saying that he's not giving up? But like we said, sometimes you're just irrational about this stuff. So let's see. What's his game high? He's 84 passes in year 1, 264 passes in year 2, 6 and 5. He's got a winning record. He's 8 and 7. He led the league in yards per completion. 12 picks to 8 touchdowns is kind of crazy, honestly. How did that even happen? Chad? It is what it is. And somehow has 2,400 yards exactly in his career. So I guess he is accurate. He knows how to get to exactly 2,400 yards. But I guess if he did start, then 11 games this year that I'm forgetting. Somehow I haven't given up on him, but I forgot every game that he played. Oh, yeah, he did throw 34 passes against Green Bay. And 32 against Houston, but he didn't complete 11. He was 10 for 32. I guess so this one he was 17 for 34, but still 204 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks. So I guess is that better than 145 and 1 pick? I don't know. Okay, he was 20 for 30 against the Jets for 272 and a touchdown. I think this was his best game here for sure. I don't know. Do we go rating wise? Maybe not exactly on the rating. I guess 9 for 19, or what? 3 for 4 for 71. Oh, is this like the last game that he played? It's like Anthony Richardson, he's finally good. Then boom, he just got hurt. So maybe we have to remember that as well too. I don't know. But yeah, then his second best game ever, 9 for 19 for 212 and 2 touchdowns. And he just literally had like 2 deep completions in this game. And that was it. And it worked out for him. But then overtime loss to the Rams, was that like the next week or soon after? Nope, not even close. Last year. 11 for 25, 202 touchdowns. that game. 9 for 12 for 98 yards and nothing else. It just, nothing else happened, so it counts as a good game. 11 for 7, 7 for 11. Hey, not the other, 11. Okay, reset. 7 for 11, 131, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick is getting close to that production as well, too. But wait a second. What was the rating for this game? What would this have ranked for his career? I guess only 80.1 because he didn't have another touchdown on top of that. But, he was getting close to having the best game of his career at that point. It is what it is. But we'll continue to keep an eye on it and see what is going on. But I guess we'll have to, we'll wrap it up here for tonight's live stream. Again, shout out to Westbrook. Great career. Shout out to CP3. Shout out to NFL Preseason for being back. And shout out to Nipsey Hussle for the new album as well, too. I know we didn't get to that tonight, so we will have to mention that on Sunday as well, too. Definitely bump that over the weekend. Rest in peace to the legend. And like I said, we will see all, if I, said it already, but Sunday will be the next live stream. Sunday, Tuesday, Friday is the schedule here. So join us in a couple days here on the YouTube. Hit us up on the podcast feeds. Follow us on the Instagram as well if you want to send us some messages over there. And we will see y'all later. Peace.